Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, freshly shaven Dave Scott. As we had a little bit of a lineup change for tonight, I screwed up on the schedule. That's what happened. I screwed up on the schedule. So we're going to do a show tonight on a lot of the stuff Dr. Chardon Kirkpatrick has been talking about. Science Bob is here for a special edition of Science Bob and no friends tonight. It's just him and I. But nonetheless, we're going to have a great show. And thank you for everyone coming on in. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position. We got Tim Mothman and his goatee hanging on out with the silver. And who's in the bronze medal tonight? Well, it's Jimmy Gonzalez. That's who it is. Laura Lobbs, Road Flair, Robert Lamothe, thank you for coming on in. Hi, Roy Boy, SG Nav Spotter, Flat 6, Chris 716. Eli, how you doing? Eternity Eternal, Time Travel. Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. Hope you're having a great night. We'll see you soon in Reno. Number 22 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. Forrest Louie, how you doing? Hi, Mr. Cowley. Mr. Cowley will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Pam Harris, how are you? T-Bone, my man. How's it going? Millennium, my man. What's happening? And who else do we have here? We have Digger Dog, Brown Dwarf, and Missouri Man. Marty Burback, thank you for joining us. Hello, Luscious Jules. Nice to see you. Kurt M., thank you for coming on in. Bobbert, Bar Madison, Thomas Rock, Monica, good to have you all here. Forrest Louie, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Moving on here, we have Penny Van. How are you? Welsh Hammer. Little Cam over on Twitch. And who else is here? I don't know. Let's take a look. Well, there's Pixie Lara and W. Decker. Thank you for coming on in. And thank you for that wonderful Super Chat, my friend. Very much appreciate your love and help of SOR. And who else is here? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Okay, continuing on. Super Crazy, thanks for coming on in. And who else is here? Yeah, I know. Look at this. Dave, what happened to your face? Where's the beard? Skip to Malou, how are you? Hi, Sandra Kincaid. My sleep study, Sandra, is tonight. It's tonight. Yeah, I got to get plugged in tonight. Maureen Green, how are you? Ozzy Ange, how do you think? Am I looking kind of cool right now or what? 405er, Digger Dog, thank you for coming on in. David Hayworth, Nina Williams, Dewey Cheatham Howe, thank you for joining us. Susan Alloway, Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. And Ann B., thank you for coming on in. Scrolling down, Troy Dudley, what's happening? Dragonfly, thanks for coming on in. And who else is here? Scott Taylor, how you doing? Jennifer Patterson, thank you for becoming family in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Very much appreciate it. And just for that, Jennifer is going to be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. We have the radio side going now on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Hello to everyone tuning us in on the radio and podcast side. As we say hello to Science Bob tonight, we're going to get into a lot of these comments that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is talking about. And we say hello to Bill WD40, who is now officially lubing up the chat room. Because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want to be rigid. You don't want to just all of a sudden, stop. You got to go in smooth. All right, 30 seconds here. Hi, Mama Susan. How are you? And who else is here? Science Bob, thank you for that lovely super chat, my man. Always appreciate you. We'll see you in Reno. JSCO, Android Paranormal. And who else is here? Spiritual Odyssey. Welcome to SOR chat. And Ozzy, oi, oi to you. And we are almost ready, guys. Throw up those horns. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fantastic show tonight. We got Science Bob here for an impromptu Science Bob and Friends because of all the words and sentences and maybe even lies that are being spewed around by former Arrowhead Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. We'll get into that with Bob momentarily. In hour number 3, Steve Stockton joins us with another spooky story. Follow that up with Courtney Marcassani and the UFO Report. Yes, it is always nice when we have a good friend like Dr. Bob McGwier here on Spaced Out Radio. He is somebody who has worked in the Black Ops operations. He's worked for the CIA, the NRO. He is a popular scientist who has his name on over 20 satellites that float around space as we speak. He's been there, done that, and has worked in the programs that we all wonder. And if he doesn't have the contacts, not many do. Dr. Bob McGwier, a.k.a. Science Bob. I know we're usually on here the second Wednesday of every month, but I thought it was important to bring you on here tonight because all of a sudden the last week or so, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the former head of the AARO program, which was supposed to go find UFOs, has been saying a lot of scathing things, not only about people like David Grush and Lou Elizondo, but also been saying a lot about how there isn't any UFOs around. There isn't any alien contact. We don't have crash retrievals. And everything that we've wanted, he's poo-pooing. First off, welcome back. And second off, what do you think?
I'm very happy to be here. I am sorry we are having to do this show. So Sean AARO, when he came into the office, told people that he was suspending his move to Oak Ridge National Laboratories, where he had a job, just to do this. And I now believe, given the behaviors we have seen out of whistleblowers and his office and him, that he was planted there by the Office of Global, whatever it is, in the CIA, who runs the secret programs, and his purpose was to get in the way. And so it's now clear that the whistleblowers don't want to talk to him. They went through Grush and went to the Inspector General because they didn't trust Kirkpatrick. A couple of 3 people went in and talked and had repercussions. And I'm talking about big time people had repercussions. So nobody trusted him. So nobody would come in and talk to him. So he'd say, okay, if they won't talk to me, it doesn't exist. He was told in detail by Grush where things were, who could be talked to, and so forth. And he never got up out of his desk and went and looked. He went and said, do you guys have this? And when they said no, that's where he stopped. He just asked and they didn't say yes, so he stopped. And so he was on his way out the door. He decided he would urinate all over ufology. He went on with Peter Bergen, who's a well-known foreign correspondent, was a war correspondent for CNN during all of the Iraqi and Afghani stuff. So Bergen is well known. And it felt to me like the entire thing was scripted. So that the spoon-fed sentences meant to mislead the public could be spoon-fed with appropriate emphasis. Let me give you an example. We found no evidence of extraterrestrials anywhere on Earth. Nobody is saying this stuff is extraterrestrial. Do I believe it? Yeah, I believe some of it might be extraterrestrial, but do I think that's all there is? I don't know what any of it is. I believe it is, but that's not knowing. So everyone is saying, here, we see these weird things. All we want you to do is tell us what it is. And so they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of evidence. And we're never going to see any of it. Why? Because it's going to be classified until such time as they identify it as something unclassified, and then they will release it. We'll get to see all the balloons and airplanes you'll ever want, because those are identified. They won't release anything until it is identified. So nothing we care about, like gigantic triangles larger than an aircraft carrier, or submerged objects entering the water, leaving the water, moving impossibly fast underwater. We're never going to hear about any of those things, ever, from AARO. AARO is a failed project. So when he went and gave a report to Senator Ernst and Senator Gillibrand, he lied multiple times, knowing they weren't going to call him to task. They simply were not prepared to be able to counter his lies with questions. And so that was a completely wasted hearing. And AARO got money because they browbeat the Secretary of Defense to give them money. I think AARO is a waste of money. That's what I think.
And, Courtney and I were joking about this just the other night about what are we now going to get another change in acronyms? Is AARO dead, or are they going to continue with it? Like, there was no reason to get rid of the UAPTF. There was no reason to get rid of ATIP or OSAP or whatever other explanations that they had for it. It's the same program, same
Every
people.
one of those things was a delaying action. We have to give us time to stand up. And then they would change the name and change this, personnel, etc. They would underfund it, change the name, move it around, and then it would take them time to stand it up. The Senate took action. The House fell in behind them and formed AARO. And they're trying to force AARO to do the right thing, but they picked a fox to guard the hen house. He is a disinformation agent for those who are covering things up. He is a scientist, and he's been in science and engineering for the government for a long time. That doesn't mean he doesn't know the scientific method. That means he's rejecting all data that he can't classify as something unclassified.
Right. I mean, doesn't it seem ironic, though, his stance on all of this, when just about 6 months ago, him and Avi Loeb from Harvard University released a book-like report on the possibility of alien life and UFOs being here, and
Yeah.
he seemed quite supportive of the idea that we are being visited.
What he was not supportive of was that report ever seeing the light of day. He told Avi that he had to get DOPSR approval for that to be released. While he was modifying it to make the CIA and the DOD happy, Avi released it. And when confronted about that by Bergen, he admitted that Avi released it without his permission. Avi tried to call his bluff and failed. Avi's gotten really negative on doing all this work because he thinks the government actually knows what's going on. He says, why am I going to spend my time doing science on something the government already knows about? That's come out of his mouth in the last month.
Right. No, I understand that. I just don't get the fact, how many people could get away on this subject for talking out of both sides of their mouth at the same time. I think that's hilarious.
Congress will not hold their feet to the fire. And this is what happens, Dave, when they're trying to send a nuclear weapon through the eye of a needle. They're trying to thread the needle with a nuclear weapon. What is a nuclear weapon I'm talking about? Information that will blow the government apart while they tell us the truth about UFOs. All the stuff that's happened in the last 80 years, how they covered this up, the crimes they committed against American citizens and others, all of it will destroy the institutions that our country needs. And so they're trying to thread this needle. And I just think it's time to wipe a slate clean, tell the truth, and move on.
You think it's that easy, though?
No, because there are going to be lawsuits. They'll have to figure out how to indemnify all the people in both corporations and the government from lawsuits and crimes. They'll have to pardon them and indemnify them. They'll have to pass a law, and they don't want to do any of this stuff. So there's going to be this continuing tension of wanting the truth to come out, but protecting these institutions and not figuring out a way to go forward without blowing the door open.
Bob, what makes Sean Kirkpatrick such a despised man? Is this on purpose on his end, or do you think that there's more to it that we are very naively not knowing about?
Well, the stuff I was told by people that don't work for him, but who knew people that work for him, is he's an asshole. And he ordered his investigators not to take notes when people came in and got this testimony from whistleblowers. They didn't, or people in the services who saw things and came in to tell about it. They didn't take good notes because they didn't want to be able to be, because it's a government record and can't be destroyed if they take notes. They're playing the game. They don't want to leave anything that someone else can find.
Okay, so let's take this even deeper. Why would that happen that way? Why would they play it? Was that the goal? Because they've been trying to, as we've said on this show for the last number of years, sweep ufology back under the rug.
Yes, that's why. The CIA cabal and DOE cabal and other members of the cabal, including those who manage these corporations and making tons of money doing it with the old legacy programs, they don't want this to end. There are people inside that are willing to talk about stuff, but say they never want disclosure to happen. And I don't know why. We still don't know enough, Dave, to understand the why about anything.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though, Bob. I still think it has to do with the difference between UFOs and UAP. Bob, it's been decades, at least a decade and a half, since the United States military came out with two different aircraft within months of each other. The last was the F-35 race, and there was that ugly jet by Lockheed Martin that looked like a giant guppy with its mouth wide open. Okay. There was that aircraft that got tanked. But within the last 6 months, we've seen a near twin to the B-2 bomber come out in the B-21. And then today, the X-59 with the silent supersonic detonation.
Well, it's not silent, but what it is, it's about 90 dB less.
Well, either way, they're coming out with this now as a spy plane.
But that's NASA.
Well,
NASA does not make spy planes.
Well, so they say.
No, they don't. Lockheed Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, and they make bombers, fighters, and Boeing. They make bombers, fighters, and spy craft. NASA doesn't make spy craft.
Okay, either way, I find it interesting. I find it a pattern. And I bet you that just like the B-21, where people were saying behind the scenes, this has been flying for a decade already. Okay, that the same thing with this NASA aircraft.
Yeah, I think too many private citizens got pictures of the B-21 or video of the B-21, and they knew they finally had to release it.
Well, that's what happened with the F-117 when Jim Goodall caught the photo.
Yep, he certainly did. He did. He outed it. Not only that, he was recently quoted in a magazine article telling what I thought was a classified number, which is how fast the SR-71A went. 3.45 Mach. I thought that number was classified, but Jim Goodall put it out, and that means he had to have Doppler approval, or he never would have done it. Well, what does that mean? That means to me the new spy planes, the ones that we're now hearing about and beginning to see, they can do well over that and go way higher.
Oh yeah, there's some good toys being thrown around out there right now, Bob. I mean, that's just the nature of the business. But you know, the idea behind the fact that we're starting to see this come out, do you think that this is a tactic to try and say, hey, you know, maybe these were some of the UFOs you've been seeing?
No. Well, the entire DOD and intelligence community have used the weird phenomenon to cover up their secret space work and air work. They've done that. They have used ufology and paranormal seekers and experiencers, etc., to cover up that secret. Whenever it got misidentified, they played up with, they would feed a story in if it didn't get done.
Oh yeah. And that is the reason why we're having these conversations. What do you think, getting back to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and we're going to be talking a lot about him tonight, and you know, there's a good chance that we are going to take audience questions a little bit earlier tonight than we normally do, because it is an important topic. We do want to get our audience in on it. So if you're on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio, or you are on YouTube watching us live, we'd appreciate you putting your questions in capital letters so we could get them off to Bob. But keep it on topic regarding Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and the meaning of all this. Kirkpatrick has really come out recently, Bob. It's like a hockey fight. You know, the puck was dropped. He immediately dropped the gloves. He's trying to take on David Grush.
Yeah, he high stick Grush, and he body checked all of us with a stick shaft in our back against the wall. He's really blocking and tackling. He's an enforcer now.
He's not doing a good job, though.
No, he's completely transparent. So he went and talked to, oh man, I love Michael Hayden. I really do. But he went and talked at the Hayden Center. And guess who was his minder and who followed him out of the talk he gave to the Hayden Center? Susan Goff. right behind him.
Well, she plays, for people who don't understand who Susan Goff is, okay, she is the PR person for the Pentagon. Very much pro CIA, NSA, alphabet agencies. And she also apparently likes to cook. You can find her posts on Pinterest.
Yep.
And and we also take a look at the idea, Bob, that we see her almost playing the puppeteer to Pinocchio, who would be Sean Kirkpatrick or anybody else who is in on this topic. Your thoughts?
Her professional research, which has been known, which is how she landed this job, is in how to do this kind of thing, this kind of information management for your advantage. I'm all ready for a constitutional amendment forbidding and banning and making it a crime for someone who works for the government, either as a civil servant or as a contractor, to lie to the American people. I'm ready to do it.
Are a lot of people in your position that you're talking to?
No, I think I'm pretty radical on this. People feel there's a need to lie. I don't. Say I don't have a comment, or I don't know enough to comment, or whatever. Don't lie.
So why? Okay, what do you think, Bob? Never mind UFOs and aliens or whomever. Okay, why is there such a tight lip on this subject?
Well, that's the deal. We don't know. I'm telling you, I still think we don't know the bottom truth. I mean, you go listen to Tom DeLonge and Peter Levenda, and it's because these things are evil, and they're coming to take us over. Is it that? Or is it something else? I hear from all sorts of experiencers that they're coming here in a couple of years and they ain't happy. They're angry at us for destroying those who crashed in the deserts around World War II and just after.
Are you talking Roswell?
Yeah, that's part of the rumor mill, is that what's coming is angry about how we've treated them, and they're coming to give us a spanking.
I've never heard that before. When did you hear that?
Lots in the last year from different people.
Like 20, 35, 36?
35, 36.
2035, 2036?
Oh, so yeah, coming. Look, I don't want to pin down a year because I don't have direct knowledge. I'm just telling you, sometime in the future, are told they're coming. But I also believe that there's some that are coming that are already here to protect us. There's both sides of this. And I'm going to tell you what I know to be a fact, because I've gotten the evidence with my own equipment. I see clear-cut evidence of energetic explosions way high above the earth and above us here. Lala and I've gotten this stuff on our cameras. And so one time it was low enough, there was sound. I had the sound analyzed, and this is the sound of an explosion that traveled through the atmosphere.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
And you're sure that wasn't some sort of sonic boom?
No, it had an energetic flash.
Okay. Well, there you go. Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. As you know, it's that time where we take our first commercial break of the night. Dr. Bob McGwier, otherwise known as Science Bob, looking into the political side of what's happening in ufology, especially around Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, as he's really opened up his mouth about what he feels about ufology. We will return right after this on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, Science Bob.
Yeah, he got mad. We got in the way of him spinning the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Corbell and Nash wrote the script for the oversight committee with seats of honor right behind the witnesses.
One sec, Bob, because there's been a lot of chatter tonight about my beard. I know I took it off. It's right here, people. It's right there. Who wants it? Who wants it? I couldn't hold off anymore. You know, I was looking a little bit too homeless at my daylight job, so I had to get rid of it. Plus, I'm going back to the gym, and I want to look somewhat proper, I should say. Morning, Commonwealth, Andrew. How you doing? La 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 la, bright. Thank you, my dear. That LA bright, she's a nice one.
She is. I kind of like her.
I'm not colder yet because we're in a heat wave. I did keep the mustache, though. Yeah, it's emotional. I just couldn't hold on any longer. Pixie Lara. Thank you. Mm-hmm. 1971 Marmaduke. This could be yours. No, I haven't lost the wizard powers yet. I have not lost it. So, like I said, if you want the beard, it's right there. It's right there. Don't worry, people. There will be stubble here coming up within the next day. I haven't used a razor in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you saw mine. It got down to here.
That was beautiful.
It was 2 years, and you have it on your wall.
I still have it up here.
Yeah,
I still have it.
Yeah, I mean, I swore when I left Blacksburg and moved to Alabama that I would not shave until I got a COVID vaccine, and I stuck to it. It was 2 years.
Barry R., how are you? I have lots of beards up here if anybody wants one. There's 3 of mine now. Science Bob's. Joe's got 2. My buddy Bruce has 1. Alien Critter, you know you want one. Yes, and tonight I do my my sleep test after the show. Do I get the sensation of being naked? Yes, I do, Lex Diaz. In fact, I'm naked from my shorts down. I'm kidding. Yes, we have Steer Pike. If you listen to our show on Monday night, you would have heard Matt Ford and I talking all about it. And we did that after his show with Rob Heatherly. So you can
and he had part 2 on tonight.
Okay, I didn't hear part 2 tonight. So let me see. Kurt M. My son hates it. He's like, Dad, what did you do? And I'm like, I shaved. Hello, Paisley Parker. How are you, beautiful? Desert Rat. I paid a rat 25 cents and off my beard. But you can have it right here. It's right there, people. Don't be shy. If you want it, I'll send it to you. And let's see here.
Be careful who you send it to. They might put it on a doll.
Oh, I know that. All right, big thank you tonight to Louis W. Decker, Science Bob, T-Bone, Pix, la 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 la, Bright, and Pixie Lara for the super chats. I'm Mark Sanchez in your collection of Hawaiian shirts. Biofuel Brad, how you doing? And Neil Attenbury, you know he's going to be in Reno. Here we go. Second half hour, Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. And I'm sure for our radio audience, even though you can't really see, I shaved my beard. And now everybody in the chat room is like RIPing my beard. But hey, if you want my beard, you can have it. Sounds weird, but I got it in a Ziploc bag right here in the studio just in case you want it. Just hit me up. All right, Science Bob is here. We're talking about this crash course in anger that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick has had over the last week to 2 weeks, criticizing Bob everybody from whistleblowers to those who say they're in the know, including politicians, about this subject. Why do you think he's now taking on the world?
Because he was given a task and he was foiled by all of us. Politicians, people that told the politicians the truth and provided them with enough evidence, it convinced them. Their plan was foiled. Now, they partially succeeded in that they defeated the strong parts of the UAP Disclosure Act. And I still don't understand why Danny and a bunch of others are so negative on that. It would have taken years for the eminent domain to work. There would have been lawsuits and all sorts of stuff, and it would have gotten worked out. I mean, but what we wanted was to get bedrock of this is over. And so what I am interested in is the parts of the UAP Disclosure Act which did make it are no more government dollars spent on any such program. That's part of the act that passed.
Well, we knew that was going to come, though.
Yeah, and thank goodness. That means these companies, they can't be paying for it solely out of their pocket. So the IRAD, the Internal Research and Development fakery that was funding some of it, is going to be under scrutiny. And so I just don't think they're going to find a way to fund this stuff unless they already stashed away enough gelt someplace to do it without needing government dollars. But what they can't do is pay security officers from the government. That's now illegal.
Is this a big run, Bob, on the military industrial complex really flexing to the UFO world and to the world media that they're not going to play this game and that they have full control over it?
They do have full control because of the way it was set up at the end of World War II under the Manhattan Project rules by Oppenheimer and others. So it's just they're loath to give it up. They feel they have reasons, but look, they at least owe us the reasons. They owe us the reasons. The other thing they owe us is whatever kind of apology is necessary to deny us resources, physics, engineering, etc., that can save our planet. Save people from hunger and starving and living without. I believe all of that is in the secrets they are hiding.
And you and I have talked about that before, and we definitely have agreements on the fact that they're hiding something. But what is it? Is it alien life? Is it something more or something different?
If it were just alien life, that'd be boring. That's just boring. After ET came out, people were ready. I thought it was going to come out because that clearly had some kind of blessing for that kind of stuff to come out. You had lots of people able to say stuff and do stuff and be in it. And Spielberg clearly had support. And the minute I heard he went to the Reagan White House and showed the movie, I knew that had some kind of official support. I think they had government advisors, and I thought stuff was going to come out, and it just didn't.
What do you think?
I don't believe it's ET. I believe it's something much larger than that. I think it's a combination of continue the cover up on the illegal acts, and don't disrupt the entire world's economy by making all of it irrelevant. But I got to tell you, I'm writing a paper, Dave. I'm writing a paper supported by other documents put out by big time entities that says the following: the world's economy will cease to function like it does in a handful of years. And this is almost completely attributable to artificial intelligence. That article will be in Medium within a week.
So do you think then that we got to be prepared for AI to not only take us over, but I mean, this is turning out to be, Bob, almost like the exact replica of the movie Terminator.
It's not like that, but it is. I actually don't believe that will happen. It could, but it depends on how bad the Russians and the Chinese act. They're like desperate to get one over on us. So they might turn something loose that can act autonomously and fire a weapon. So that's threat, but I still don't believe that the kind of thing like Terminator can actually happen. So, but I do believe that all manual labor jobs will cease to exist largely in a decade.
We're already seeing it.
Well, I mean, Musk is going to release this robot by the millions that's going to do manual labor. And we're already seeing manual labor in the homes and in businesses replaced. Little robots run around and they clean my floors. Maid, I spent $400 on a robot and it does the job. Why would I pay a maid $30,000 a year? I mean, you get the idea. Why do I need people out getting hurt in the hot sun, paving roads, and getting hurt when I can have a robot do it easily? That's just coming. It's coming, Dave.
I fully agree with you on that, and kind of scares the daylights out of me just kind of thinking about that, Bob. But getting back to the whole UFO aspect of everything, we've heard some extremely brilliant people like Dr. Michael Masters talk about extraterrestrials. Okay, we've heard of many others coming out trying to figure out where these beings are coming from, dimensionally, time travel, outer space. There's a lot of options out there for that. So, I mean, in your estimation, why was Sean Kirkpatrick allowed to get away with this act? I mean, he's acting almost like Bill Nelson from NASA.
Allowed. He was for getting away with this, and he had the support of his bosses. He was in with them. He turned in whistleblowers.
Okay, so if he turned in whistleblowers, is this the reason why there is such an uproar about whether or not more whistleblowers are going to come through?
I believe that is being worked out. I believe that is being worked out. I have a scenario in my own mind of how there's going to be a big time disclosure. Hang on a minute. Let me look something up. I want to look. Pardon me while I Google.
You Google away. You know, I mean, my big concern with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is the fact that he is coming out in full force and blatantly calling everybody in ufology a bunch of liars.
Sometime after the first week of November and before the third week of January, if things go like I believe they will go, we will have big time disclosure.
Let's get to some audience questions because I know you love these.
Yep.
Eli is asking, Diana Poselka alluded crashes might have happened in space also. Reading between the lines, seems like we probably have some type of UFO program up in space. Is this accurate?
So there are a lot. So I was really skeptical for a long time, being friends and working with Richard Dolan after I read his Secret Space Program monograph, where he was kind of the first published author to really kind of go into a lot of details. And there are others, but that he was a major one, and I knew him. I just didn't think it was true until recently. And I believe I know people who have gone in it. In the secret space program. So right. I believe I know people that have gone in it. You know at least one too, I think.
I've met a couple.
Yep. And so, but I don't know what they're flying. I don't think you or I know the performance of what they're flying. Can they zip out to Titan and Pluto and come back before morning? I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that part of the SDIs, the Star Wars, was aimed at defending the planet.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, let's get to another question here. Let's go to the lovely and talented Kim Jellin. What would it look like to hold Congress's feet to the fire?
I believe there's enough groundswell in Congress that it's not Congress that's in the way, except for a couple of bought and paid for members of the House of Representatives that are currently in charge of committees that can put up a firewall against the truth coming out. In law, nothing stops the executive in the United States government from releasing all of it. Nothing. So we just have to, if that's the way it has to go, that's the way it has to go. But that's catastrophic disclosure.
Yeah.
And so they better get their act together and work with Congress to figure out how to do this so we don't destroy our institutions that we can't do without. Now, I got to start telling you, it's hard to figure out with Russia and China and Iran and North Korea so angry how we do without a Department of Defense because they're acting ugly. There's wars and scent of wars and plans for wars all over this planet. Mm-hmm. And we better prepare.
Oh, I agree with you. We have to keep an eye out on things.
Yep. No. You don't have a war by preparing to fight all-out war. You don't want to do it, and the United States doesn't want to do it, but it should prepare like it's about to. So we do need to hold look, what would it look like to hold Congress feet to the fire? Write your representative and your senator. Tell them how unhappy you are that is not UAP disclosure. Just continue to do it like a drumbeat. Get it so that they're sick of hearing from you. That gets their attention. Look, nobody was more surprised than the members of the House of Representatives with the unbelievable response to the House oversight hearing. They were flabbergasted. They were aghast. And that undermined everything Kirkpatrick was trying to do. And he acted ugly about it on his way out the door.
Do you think that he's purposely sabotaged AARO because there was a minimal amount of evidence, or that he was told to crush it?
My understanding is he had minders looking over his shoulder the entire time he was there, and the people he staffed it with were on their side.
Explain to us how that works.
He had people assigned to him as assistants, whose own as liaisons from the different members of the DoD and intel community, since AARO was split between the two, and their job was to make sure he didn't do anything wrong.
All right. So with Kirkpatrick now going on the offensive, how do you feel it makes him look when you see him taking on whistleblowers like David Grush?
It makes him look awful because people know he's lying. They know he's lying. The people like Peter Bergen, he apparently doesn't know. And a lot of the mainstream media knows, but they're not calling him out. They won't even cover the story, Dave. They will cover it only if they can add a snicker.
True. Do you think that there is a lot of fallout behind the scenes about what Kirkpatrick was saying? Because usually when somebody goes rogue like that, there are people who get their hackles up, so to speak.
I think his position is safe. He might get a, why did you do that? And he says, I felt like it. And what are they going to do?
Well, you just got to go with it.
Yeah, they're going to go with it and let him get away with it. He did their bidding for a year, and he got his knocks in on the way out the door to the people he think undid him. AARO failed at their primary mission for the secret keepers.
That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. So what happens now to AARO?
I don't know. Tim Phillips is coming in. He's the deputy director. He was installed in late November, and he is now the acting director until a new director is made permanent. But I think that the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence don't really have any interest in filling it anytime soon. They're going to all try to ride out the election year doing nothing.
Okay.
Congress will be distracted during the elections.
Well, doesn't that bode well for ufology then?
No, because we want Congress to act, to change things.
No, I understand that, but if Congress goes after Sean Kirkpatrick, would that not lend credence to the experiential side of the stories that many people have?
I don't think they're going to go after him. I think they're going to let him exit stage right and not comment. Give him a medal for doing a good job.
We got 5.5 minutes to go here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Science Bob and friends, even though it's not really a Science Bob episode, that's next week. But we'd love it when you're here, Bob. I look at things with a little bit of rose-colored glasses because I like seeing the positive in people working together, so on and so forth. With Kirkpatrick now blending back into, I don't want to say civilian life, but the spy agency life, how do you think he is going to react if he ever gets subpoenaed to talk about this?
He'll tell the truth. Or plead the fifth, whatever. He'll tell the truth.
Okay.
Look. We know lying to Congress is perjury, but rarely are people charged with it. And he knows that. And the thing I also want to point out is these secret keepers, they have set themselves up with their own counterintelligence agents in both the corporations, etc. And they're out digging up dirt on anybody they need to keep them in check in Congress. and they'll play it. They'll play hardball.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you were in their position, you would too.
No, I won't be in their position, and I wouldn't do it. I don't believe in this. I actually want my government to work correctly. And the one thing that would do it, in my opinion, is people are no longer able to lie to the American people. Half of Congress would have committed a crime at the end of the first year if we pass that constitutional amendment. We'd be rid of half of them, both parties.
That's right. That's right. Make them break the election down to 8 weeks from the time it's called, like we do up here in Canada.
And you're not able to lie.
No. That is definitely truthful right there. Let's go to another question here, Bob. Mennonite Abe is asking, Science Bob, do you think John Greenwald, Stephen Greenstreet, Sean Kirkpatrick are coordinating their own attack personally?
I do not believe Greenwald, Greenstreet, and Kirkpatrick are coordinating. Are they fellow travelers in sympathy with each other? Yes. I think Greenwald wants official admissions, and I don't understand his negative emotions about a lot of the people in ufology that we rely on. I don't understand, but never look. He does a lot of really good stuff. These FOIA things he's done, he's turned it into an art form, and he's done great stuff for us. The Black Vault is full of interesting things that people should be grateful are put in a place where they're readily accessible and indexed, etc. And Greenwald's done good work, but he is really negative about ufologists that we've learned can tell us things. And Greenstreet, he's like, this is all fake and you're all fools.
Do you think he's ever experienced anything while on the job at ATIP?
Greenstreet?
No. Sean Kirkpatrick?
No. I don't think he's gotten out from behind a desk in ages.
No wonder he's flat bummed.
Yep.
Let's sneak in one more question here, Bob. Let's go to Aussie Ange. What happens to the human population workforce if AI takes over?
I think that, well, first of all, I believe almost every government on earth is going to have to establish a mincome where that can be both money and sustenance, etc. And that's just going to have to be established or the civilization will collapse. While we figure out what human 2.0 looks like when there's no longer manual labor needed. I believe that farms will all be done by robots and trucks will all be driven by robots, on and on. I just think it's coming. We've worked hard to get here, and with the end of hard manual labor and drudgery, the end of drudgery labor is over. The end is here. The end of drudgery labor is here.
Do you worry about his predecessors, whether they fall in line with what they're supposed to see rather than what they're supposed to report?
From what I understand, people that talk to his collection officers never wrote down any notes. They weren't there to really collect any information, and they just told what they, quote, remembered for the writing of this history report, that this history report we're about to get, which is late, is going to be a nothing burger.
Perfect timing, Science Bob. As we look forward to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio with Dr. Bob McGwier, formerly the CIA, NRO. He loves his alphabets. Spaced Out Radio continues with the disclosure side and your questions next. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, I'll be right back, Science Bob.
Hey, I hope you're not driving to the sleep test.
No, it's in my home.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. You know, the weird part about it is I could hear everything you're saying. I don't even know that my eyes are
Yeah, but
closed.
you're really struggling. I can tell it.
That's because I shaved.
You've sapped your strength.
Hey, it's Blobbert. Blobbert's
Hi,
here.
Blob.
The blob.
I'll be right back.
Paint a devil with two horns and call it Kirkpatrick.
Oh, I don't have any lawyers anymore, Bob. Sorry, I'm late. I was garpling the Narthok.
There you go.
Actually, I was talking to a bunch of pals. And of course, I think it went about 25 minutes before I started talking about UFO stuff. So that's it's fairly good for me.
There you
And then
go.
one of my pals' friends that were there was just kind of like, have you heard about like Roswell? Have you heard of this guy, Bob Lazar? And he starts talking about all this stuff. I'm like, yes, just a little bit. And it was just kind of neat. Super normie type person, just out of nowhere.
It's Grush and Elizondo and Mellon and all those other people, Knapp and others. They have changed the way people think about this subject.
Yeah, it's awesome. I never thought 10 years ago I'd be talking about UFO stuff, drawing cartoons on a radio show with all types of people around the world and pissing around on X, sharing my cartoons and talking about UFOs. It's just great.
Yep.
People need more UFOs in their lives, Bob.
Well, people only need to go out and look up a couple clear nights and they'll see some weird stuff. They may later identify it as something, but I guarantee you they'll see stuff they're going to have a hard time identifying.
Well, I mean, so many unconnected people. My always go-to is there's so many unconnected people that have experienced similar things. You can't really just. It's not like people across the universe just phone each other and went, "Hey, let's make some giant conspiracy to make fun of some nerds or something." That just doesn't make sense. People have had these weird things. It kind of rambling away what I was explaining to that guy earlier, but oh, good gods. Seriously, Bob? A second. Right. Yeah. Sorry about that. I captured a blob. Anyways, I'm rambling. I apologize.
That's fine.
So, got any plans for the weekend, Bob?
Oh, no, relax. I got some interesting stuff I'm going to be doing on my computer.
Yeah, sorry for Blob whining.
That's all right. Let her whine. Him, her.
Yeah, there's no snacks behind there, Blob. We got some nerds coming over next week. The new RPG campaign is starting up.
Nice. What game?
We currently play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
There you go.
Although I'm a big staunch supporter of GURPS. If you're going to play role-playing games, pick up 4th edition GURPS. That's a good place to start. Blob is all whining about where's Dave? Dave's nowhere to be seen, Blob.
We're going to open up the window in here and see what's going on.
Cool it off.
I am.
That'll help. The brain works better when the ambient temperature is about 10 Celsius.
Well, it's warmer than that in here right now, but I got the window open.
Come on in, Carl.
Carl's not around right now.
I got my window open too, Dave.
Yeah, that's because you're dirty. Hey, where'd
No,
Blobber go?
She was already here. She signed a bunch of autographs and left. She's like, "Where's Dave?" I was like, "I don't know." So,
I'm outta
sorry,
here.
Dave.
Hey, Fuse Eddie. Welcome back. Kira, how do you like the mustache look and clean shaven look? Oh boy, was Blob ever signing autographs? Donald Dean, how you doing? Eros, welcome to SOR chat. We don't do politics in here, man. All right.
Nope.
Blue Cruise, what's happening? Who else we got? Thank you to our super chatters. Louis times 2, T-Bone Picks, Jennifer, Bob, la 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 la, Bright, Laura, and W. Decker. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You could join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Cicadic. Cicadic is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We have Dr. Bob McGwier here for another hour as Science Bob comes in to talk about all the controversy that's been going on the last week and a half, 2 weeks regarding Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick opening up the fact that he wants to tear this UFO story apart. And Bob, he's doing a good job on it, and he's sure getting his supporters online.
Yes, that's too bad. But look, the thing is, stay the course and push back. That's what we have to do. Stay the course and push back.
Okay. So why do you think that there is this level of hatred that is going on within the community? I mean, we saw it with Lou Elizondo. We're seeing it with David Grush. We're seeing it with many others who are inside the community. That's not even getting to the media side of everything, like Ross Coulthard or Jeremy Corbell or whomever. It just seems like this subject has turned very untrustworthy, and to the point where the ugliness, it really seems like it's heading towards court one day.
There's that level of anger. I don't know whether there's what standing you can have unless you've made defamatory statements about somebody. And in the United States, defamation lawsuits are hard to win. In other countries like Britain, Canada, etc., in the Commonwealth, it's much easier to press defamations, but it's needed here in the United States because we want to be able to blast people and or not allow people to blast us without proof. And so people are just much more careful other places than they are here because they don't feel they need to be careful because defamation lawsuits are nearly impossible. And so but inside the community, I can tell you, I lived in it for nearly 3 decades. You get the nail that gets above the board is flattened as hard as it can with a hammer. no matter who it is, no matter what the topic is. And for something that's mostly covered by unacknowledged wave saps, it's going to be with a sledgehammer, not a little one.
It's also, from what I'm hearing, really driving a wedge in between future whistleblowers coming out because, number one, it stalled protection for whistleblowers. And number two, nobody wants to go through what David Grush has gone through. And, from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, with all due respect to Mr. Grush, he's telling other whistleblowers to hold off and let him continue the battle and get things straightened out before more come out.
I agree with him. Because none of them want to lose their security clearance or their standing over this topic. And the ugliest part is those who are not way at the top, I believe they're stuck inside nearly for life. I believe they can't get out. I believe that people will not allow their security clearances to be transferred so they can go somewhere else and start telling what they know. They're really clamping down. That's what I think.
Does this go beyond UFOs? Like, is it the worry about what's happening with Russia and China and other parts of the world right now? Or is this strictly about UFOs?
No. All that's going on in Washington is about much more than UFOs. UFOs are way on the back burner of people in power. Israel, Iran, Korea, China, Russia, Taiwan, etc. Piracy off of Africa. All of those things, and expansion of NATO, all of those things are more important than UFOs in Washington. So we're just playing second fiddle to all that.
Okay, if we're playing second fiddle, why is there still so much angst and anxiety about this story?
Well, people were just absolutely convinced, got their hopes up. When Grush came out, Cold Heart is partially responsible for building up, and so are Knapp and Corbell for building up this expectation that it was all about to come out. Steve Bassett, people just don't know that he has been, his disclosure coming out tomorrow for 20-something years. And they got their hopes up and got them dashed. And so people are angry.
Yeah, and that goes with the killing of the Schumer rounds initiative.
Even people that I know are staunch supporters of disclosure, they were against Schumer because they thought it was a con job. It's just
con job. How?
Well, go listen to what Danny Sheehan said about it. He said it was a way to keep stuff hidden forever. What I could tell you what it was, Dave. Maintaining the level of control they wanted would keep them from having to destroy institutions to tell the truth about what's going on. They're trying to protect these institutions from being trashed as they tell the truth about what's going on, because we need these institutions. And these people that opposed UAP Disclosure Act opposed it for the wrong reasons.
What would have been the right reasons?
Not to be opposed to it, because it was going to get the job done. Look, if people care about people going to jail for all the ugliness that happened right after Roswell, well, that just wasn't going to happen. That's never going to happen. They will keep the secret forever before they allow that to happen, because that will destroy the institutions that
And when
we
you
need.
Okay, so in layman's terms, when you say institutions,
I mean the intelligence community members, the Department of Defense, its agencies, its supporting contractors, we cannot do without them. We have to have them. Having them destroyed by crime, charges of crimes, and or civil lawsuits will not serve the national security needs of the United States of America and its allies.
Yet we see this giant rush for disclosure for dollars. Whether it's Ryan Graves' group for pilots, whether it's Avi Loeb's 58 groups, whether it's Soul Foundation, whether it's, groups popping up like Enigma Labs, who are,
I'm going to tell you what the deal is, that people cannot do the level of work that's needed without being compensated. They just can't. Not everybody's Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. People need support to do this kind of work. We either get our act together and be adults and understand we're good people. You have to pay them so they can do it.
I'm all about that. I'm all about the capitalism of it, of people getting paid, and that you have to, in order to make money, you have to have, especially in this big of a game, you need to have somebody who is funding you, much like Peter Thiel does with Enigma Labs.
Yep.
Okay, which is one of the worst kept secrets in the UFO world. However, from what I'm hearing is behind the scenes, there's a lot of money changing hands right now as we try and get a grip on what these UFOs are and what the UAPs are.
Yeah, but I don't know how much I'll give you an example. It would be standard practice for somebody who's left government and knows a lot about a highly interesting topic to be bribed with a pot full of money to come give a talk, say in a secret meeting in the New York area to Wall Street big timers. That's standard operating procedure. Every president does it. Everybody who's made a name writes a book, goes, gives talks, and gets paid for it. And Russia's got to have a way to live, Dave. He doesn't have a job.
Yeah, you can't go back to realty now. And I understand that, Bob, and I'm very much appreciative of what you're saying. And trust me, I do support that. I don't have a problem with anybody making money. What I'm saying though is we see all of these threat narrative groups coming in trying to banter over each other.
I'm missed up. I thought you were targeting people we like who are making money.
No.
You're targeting the people who want to capitalize on the threat narrative to sell stuff to the Department of Defense and the intelligence agency. Well, that's just going to happen.
Yes.
Look, a large portion of why we got this is Congress wanted to spend a ton more money figuring out drones because they hadn't funded it enough. And you know why they want to look at drones really seriously? People need to pay attention to the day-to-day goings on in the Ukraine-Russia war. Both sides have completely incapacitated the other side's large armaments with small first-person view drones carrying a bomb. We have destroyed us supplying the Ukrainians and the Ukrainians building these drones. They've destroyed 4,500 tanks of Russia. You think the United States doesn't worry about its M1A1 tanks? But knowing that these drones, and what's going to happen after that war happens? The drones are going to get better, the bombs are going to get better, and they're going to become more professional. They'll be twice as expensive, but 4 times as deadly. And so all of those lessons are being learned by having this drone funding done. And this drone surveillance has totally changed warfare. The Russians can't get within 10 kilometers of the Ukrainians without having HIMARS drop in on their head. Why? The area is blanketed with surveillance. That war has changed everything about land warfare. And Congress and the military are paying attention. So you got to understand there's tons of interlocking needs in addition to identifying unidentified aerial phenomena does in fact include drones that we don't know about. That was partially the reason for wanting to fund it.
I got to admit, I am highly addicted of watching those videos that are all over YouTube from those Ukrainian troops.
Forget YouTube. Where you want to go is Telegram and look at the Ukrainian first person view drones. They are breaking Russian lines in half. It's ridiculous what Russia's doing. There was 5 days in a row. This is off topic. Let me tell you, 5 days in a row, the Ukrainians killed over 1,000 Russians.
I saw that.
That's ridiculous. Vladimir Putin is evil. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the UFOs.
Back to the UFOs. Just like that. Let's get to some questions here, Bob. Eli wants to know, we're seeing a push from Senate, a supposed legislation push from the House, the HOC with UFO field hearings. Are these different advocates advising them separately on the same individuals advising them, or are the same individuals advising them both?
Yeah, we have ufologists that are going in telling them stuff they don't know, and they're acting on evidence that Grush has given them, and they're just going to show up at Lockheed Martin's locker where they have UFOs and demand to get in and dare them to keep them from coming in. Or Northrop Grumman or wherever.
Right.
They won't get onto Area 51 and look in S4. I guarantee you that.
I don't think anybody's going there.
No.
I really don't. But let's go on to a different question here. And this is from Steerpike, who's asking, the question is, what's your opinion on that? He put it in 2 sentences. The first part of that was, what do you think about this Wikipedia mess that Matt Ford and Rob Heatherly have brought out, where this group is targeting any individual that is posting on Wikipedia or their own Wikipedia page about UFOs, about anything cryptid or paranormal? They are these editors are going around there and playing by the rules that Wikipedia sets out, but ruining a lot of profiles on that of people who are popular in the community. What's your thoughts?
Lou Elizondo cannot edit his own page. His page is owned by one of these page stooges whose job is to make him look bad. Look, these are paid people. This is a paid for operation. And if anybody wants to know how I feel, go look at my blastograms on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, where I've said I'm stopping using Wikipedia and I will never support them with money again. And they can go look and see how much money I've given them. I'm not a billionaire, but I support what I like. And I'm not supporting people that will act like that. This is contravening every promise they made about how Wikipedia would operate. And Matt and Rob and others who found this, they deserve our thanks for exposing it.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the work that they've done. I've talked to both of them recently in regards to that. But I mean, when you say they're paid,
I believe they are being supported to do this work. There's one guy. This was like one of the top editors. He is like 7 days a week, so many hours a day. He can't have a regular job. He's got to be getting paid. Thousands of pages he edits. And he gets an alert every time somebody tries to change it back. And if they keep getting in his way, he goes and has them banned from editing Wikipedia pages and then suspended so they can't even log in. Wikipedia has done themselves in by allowing this game to be played.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to remove like even awards that George Knapp or Ross Coulthard had won.
Horrible.
You know, to prove their expertise in their field. I mean, it's just it's odd. It's very
It's
odd.
disgusting. Boy, so Travis came out and said, "Oh, don't worry about him. Just let him go act ugly. Who cares?" And then he was told by people in and around Matt Ford, Rob, or maybe by them directly, exactly what they had been doing to him and his pages. And Travis blew a freaking gasket. It melted X for a day. I mean, he went wild. He like threatened them.
Okay, when you're saying Travis, are you talking Travis Taylor?
Yes, I am. He went wild and talking dirty to them. Man, he took on Kirkpatrick. He took on them. It was amazing. Travis Taylor has come out swinging.
All right, another question from our audience. So we got about 3.5 minutes. From Australia, Ange is asking, what happens to the human population workforce if AI takes over?
Asked and answered already. Last half hour.
All right. Let's get to Jeremy. What if Sean Kirkpatrick is right and there is no evidence? I mean, these whistleblowers are nowhere to be found.
They're nowhere to be found by those who don't know what's going on. So none of these people have the obligation to break the law and come out and tell you what they want just to satisfy your curiosity on their way to jail. People need to understand how this works. The Inspector General of the intelligence community has said to Congress, Grush is telling the truth. How many times do we have to keep saying this? We are not going to hear from these whistleblowers exactly what they know, distilled in any way and told to the public, until they are protected from the evildoers who are guarding the secrets, because they're not going to prison to satisfy any of our curiosity or lose their job or whatever.
If this subject was any other beside UFOs, would there be lawsuits? Would there be people facing potential jail time?
No, there wouldn't be the kind of internal coordination trying to stomp on them to keep them from telling the truth. Like, I mean, look, you could see how it could happen. I mean, Colonel Vindman came out and told the truth about a president extorting, blackmailing Ukraine and got him impeached. So that's the kind of thing that could happen on the inside to somebody who comes a whistleblower. But very few people have the power of that executive. So this is not political. I'm just telling you what happened. So you can see how people on high can stomp on people low, even if they have whistleblower protection. And these people don't want to lose their ability to earn a living. They don't want to lose their freedom. They don't want to lose their access. They want to be let out of the secrets that should never have been made a secret. Just look, basic physics, basic research into basic science should not ever be allowed to be classified for any reason. And that's happened. And the scientists that are inside there, they're tired of this. Basic research into basic science telling us gravity doesn't work the way we want, or energy is available for free because Tesla showed them how until they did him in. That stuff is basic science and should not be classified. So the entire world can benefit.
Science Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on there, and we got a bunch more questions from our audience for the next half hour for you on this subject about Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and what he is doing, going off on ufology, recently stating that he doesn't believe that the United States is in possession of UFOs or alien bodies. I wish his people would just stop talking about it. We'll take more of your questions in the next half hour. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this, so stay tuned. We will be right back. Science Bob, you're going to help me with this promo here, if you don't mind. High Operation Shutdown. You ready,
I'm answering one thing. I'll be right back.
Oh, look at Blobbert. Blobbert returns.
Yeah, we got the old Blobbenheimer. I can't feel my legs, Dave.
Oh, look. Oh, hold on.
Go. Oh.
Hold on.
And Jeremy Kirkpatrick is a liar. There he is, evidence. And the Inspector General knows it.
All right, Bob. Science Blob. Oh God! Oh,
you need a CPAP machine.
Oh, we're gonna cut that one up. That's at 10:30. Oh, Science Blob.
Oh, there's a cartoon.
Oh. Anyways, hi Major Lee. Science Bob, you're now 2 for 2 at coming to the SOR fan party. You'll be in Reno for number 3 and at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. You and La 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 La, right? You know, I know you have a good time. Do me a favor. Tell our audience who's never been there before, from a special guest perspective, what it's like for you to get to meet the audience and people who support this show.
So before I went to the first one, I just did not understand how involved the audience was with what we're doing up here. They come every night or lots of nights a week, and they care about what we're saying. They come here for information. And it was amazing to me to learn who the people were that were coming. Some of them was shocking. And what we meant to people who listened to this show. And so the second year I went, I was wide open to make sure they knew I was happy to see them and happy they were there and thankful for their support. And they're just really loyal, loving this show. And it's just fun. We're not there to be our stuffed shirt or anything else. We're there to have a good time. They can see us having one too many over in the corner or at a table, whatever. And they know they can come over and talk to us. It's good.
Yeah.
They're one time to come and talk to us.
You know, and Bob, you've been to conferences
all my life.
But you've been as a spectator where, you know, you go to these UFO conferences and you can't find the person. Say you're there to see Richard Dolan or somebody like that. How hard is it to find them? You pay all that money to go to the conference, and you don't even, all you want to do is say, hey, thanks.
Yep. Well, they're always off with their buddies going to private dinners or having backstage private dinners. Yeah, it's just I don't like these big shows, and I doubt I go to many ever unless I'm a paid guest.
Exactly. So what we want you to do is come see Science Bob and La 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 La, right? Okay. And many more at the Spaced Out Radio fan party, May 10th through 12th in Reno, Nevada, at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. You can book your tickets at info@spacedoutradio.com, info@spacedoutradio.com. VIP tickets are $100, and we love the blobbert around here. Science Blob and Science Bob all together at once. Right?
There you go. And Blob's whining because he's not getting to go to Reno.
Oh, yeah, he's a cat. But what we're doing here is you're going to get to take in our live radio show. You're going to get to meet everybody at the VIP party that we're going to have. And trust me, that's a blast. Then on Saturday, there is the ghost tour of Virginia City with Merle. Then that night, Melinda Leslie's taking you all out into the wilderness for a UFO skywatch. Sunday, it's a free-for-all. Hang out. Let's do whatever we want to have fun because we only got one day left before we head home on Monday. So come join us in Reno. And once again, book your tickets at info@spacedoutradio.com. Info@spacedoutradio.com. And we want to say hello and thank you to our super chatters tonight, Major Lee and Jeremy, CS, T-Bone ×2, Peter, Jennifer, Louie ×2, Laura, la, right, Pixie Lara, or Pix, pardon me, Bob W. Decker, and Louie again. We appreciate it. Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We're going to continue with questions from Science Bob tonight as we're looking into Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and some of the scathing comments and words he's made the last couple of weeks after leaving AARO to really take on the UFO world, like thinking like he's Rocky going into Rocky 27. Here we go, Science Bob. Another question for you from Marty. Bob, are there more players here than Susan Goff and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick? If so, who are they?
Well, they're the people in the CIA that run the global whatever it is called group, and there are people in NRO who do reconnaissance stuff. There's those people. There's people in NGA who do interpretation of what all the other agencies get them to write geospatial intelligence reports. NSA that does this and that and the other. There are just a lot of players in this. They're all involved in the cover-up. And the cover-up is official secrecy has been given to this at a really high level. And it's just a bunch of them. I don't know enough of them to name anymore. But these people are public, so they're easy to identify. And Susan Goff has been a master liar. She's done it by not telling lies, but leaving out the truth.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, they're masters at this game of saying a sentence that sounds like an answer, that's not an answer, and doesn't tell you the truth.
All right. Let's do it. Another question. This one from Pix. Bob, if you were to guess, how advanced has the secret space program gone? Intergalactic travel?
We know what the former head of Lockheed Skunk Works told the former director of MUFON at a meeting in California, is that we have known how to take ET home for a while and have decided that it just isn't worth it right now. But who knows what that means, except taking ET home means interstellar travel, or interdimensional travel, whatever. And Brian Greene wrote a paper in the last year that has a hint of how the faster than light travel can be done interdimensionally. That's a mouthful. But it really is a hint as to how it can be done. And think of our universe as a flat piece of paper, and we're traveling on the flat piece of paper, and we make a right turn and we leave the paper, and up here you can travel faster than the speed of light until you get ready to go to the star, and you drop back in here and travel under the speed of light to the star the rest of the way. So that seems to be applicable given the paper that Brian Greene has written. And he's one of the fathers of string theory. He's a major theoretical physicist that papers should be looked at and listened to and see how far it can go.
All right, let's continue on and head on over to Mad Kiwi. What if the real secret isn't the advanced technology, but is that we humans aren't in charge anymore?
I think that is likely, possibly part of the story, is that they're here. They've been here a long time. They were involved when we changed from whatever we were to Homo sapiens sapiens. They were involved in that. And so, because 70,000 years ago, something massive changed in humanity. And it sounds like something intervened. So I believe that that's partially true.
I like it. Let's move on. Let's go to Marmaduke. Is there any way to ensure that Kirkpatrick's replacement is better?
Right, your congressman and your senator demanding that the new head of AARO actually be for disclosure.
And that would work?
Yeah. Yep.
It seems awfully easy.
Congress has got to get involved and mandate it.
Okay, let's move on here, Bobbert. Pair from Super Crazy. Do you think that the gray aliens are some kind of artificial intelligence beings?
The short ones, yes, I certainly do. Every description seems to me to be a cybernetic organism.
Beautiful. Followed up with, when and what do you think will we be hearing from David Grush in his upcoming op-ed?
Okay, so I think he is going as close to the line without going over it of what he's been given DOPS approval for, and he's putting forth further challenges. And look, he and his attorney, they have been very clever. When he makes a statement in writing that he wants to release to the public, if internals object, they have to state who they are and the reasons they object, and they are identified to him and his lawyer. So he's playing the game the way it needs to be played. People don't understand how well he is playing it. He's being patient. He's in it for the long haul. He is playing it beautifully. So I think he's going to go look, he said they're bodies. Maybe he can say what's the nature of the bodies. He said they're craft. Maybe he can say where the craft are. People now know that some of them are at Lockheed. We know from Lukatsky that we had one that's 40 feet wide that looked bigger on the inside than it does on the outside, and we've gotten into it. That came from Lukatsky, who ran the whatever DIA program there was dealing with UFOs. We know stuff. I want him to go right up next to the line. I'd like for him to be able to say, we have ET visiting. That's what I'd like, but I don't know.
Over on Twitch, Little Cam is asking, is Chris Bledsoe your only source stating Easter 2026 is a big day?
No, but that is one. But he is one. But he's not. I ask others what they knew about the future, not telling them what I've been told about Bledsoe, and they told me nearly the same thing. It's a little less positive than Chris Bledsoe spins it.
All right, Bob. We have about 15 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight to you. And I'm sorry, I just had a computer glitch here. What happened here? My screen went, small. There you are. Let's go to Eli. If firsthand whistleblowers are standing, can we expect people like Lou Elizondo to come forward, possibly for the HOC field hearing?
No. The HOC field hearing will only be for members of Congress to go and visit places where Elizondo and Mellon and Grush, etc., have told them they need to go looking for stuff. I don't think they'll be present.
Are you surprised that Elizondo is still working away behind the scenes and not in front of the public?
I think he's ready to stop getting shot at by people inside.
Well, I'm sure everybody is very much, wishing that didn't happen either. But I mean, do you think though that we're going to see him again this year?
I don't know the answer. Like, Ramirez, we're not going to see. He's retired. And I don't know whether Elizondo is retired to the background or not.
It was kind of cool seeing John Ramirez show up at our SOR fan party last year.
Yeah. And Melinda Leslie comes to everyone. And if people want to hear really hot news, go listen to any of Melinda's podcast appearances in the last 2 months and any that are coming up. She is dropping bombshells left and right about secret space program and Lockheed Martin.
Oh, yeah. We got to get Melinda back on.
Yep.
We got to get her back on here. Okay, let's move over to Scanman here. Richard Dolan had an interview with a Swedish astronomer studying disappearing stars, once seen in the pre-Sputnik 1950s. What do you think of this research?
Well, I personally know her, and she is a brilliant, brilliant astrophysicist. And here's what she did. It's really simple. She went to the back room, dug up 70-something-year-old photographic plates, and compared them to recent photographs. And she looked for those where things had changed. And one it was like she was led to the right place. She got a photograph where there were 3 stars that looked like 3 stars in a triangle, equilateral triangle. And 70 years later, they're gone. So she went back and looked when it disappeared. And basically, 3 stars are there. They're there before. Every photo after of that region, the stars are gone. Stars disappear? What the heck? So I just think and if it had been a black hole absorbed them, there'd have been a massive explosion that we would have seen. No, Viola is a brilliant scientist. Believe every word she said, because she is not a BSer. She's brilliant.
Love it. All right, Bob. Let's continue on with some audience questions. Let's go to Amy. How off the mark was Zecharia Sitchin and his 12th planet stuff, in your opinion?
I don't believe in the 12 planet stuff as Zecharia Sitchin said it. I do believe that he did a lot of great work on translation of Sumerian text, and a lot of what we know about the Anunnaki and have been able to check by looking at other sources, we learned from Zecharia Sitchin and his initial translations. I just don't know whether to believe in Nibiru or not. I don't have any evidence, and my belief is if there were such a thing, we would be able to see its perturbations on the orbits of the other planets in the solar system, and we don't.
You still think that Pluto needs to be promoted back?
Yes.
As I do.
Yes. I'm unhappy it's not a planet. It has an atmosphere. It probably has even way out there, it has a subsurface ocean. We see where it has been smoothed over from where it had ice water come up. I mean, it definitely ought to be a planet. It has its own moon, almost as big as it is. Yes, should be a planet. It has an atmosphere.
Bring back Pluto.
Titan is big enough to be a planet.
That's one of the biggest flaws of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
And we're going to fly an octocopter to Titan in the next few years.
Sweet Tony D in the UK says, "Good morning, hello all. Can't Congress hold the Complex feat?
Military-industrial complex.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. The military-industrial complex feet to the fire with the exposure of the CIA and the OGA being associated with UFOs. Why aren't Congress calling them out?
It's because that is those are institutions that we need. We can't call them out and help destroy them when we need them. Everybody has a conflict of interest here. They're trying to figure out how to force disclosure without destroying them.
I don't know if I buy that.
I believe it. I believe everything about it. That and OGA, if it's true they hired private contractors to go into other countries, man, oh man, that is really ugly.
Well, apparently one of those happened in Canada.
I know about that one, and I think it happened in Brazil and Peru and
Mexico for sure.
Mexico for sure. There was almost a gun battle in Mexico.
Yes, that there was. Okay, here comes Justin. What are your thoughts on Chris Mellon's statement today regarding the Kirkpatrick article? Now, I have those up here, Bob.
Good, because I plead ignorance. I was busy today doing some technical work for my university and students, and I did not read it.
Okay. Let me see if I got it here. Yes, I do. Right here.
Put a link in chat, please.
It says, I was astonished by one of the critical claims or central claims made by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick in his recent article in Scientific American blasting UAP conspiracists, specifically his claim, as of the time of my departure, none, let me repeat, none of the conspiracy-minded whistleblowers in the public eye had elected to come to AARO to provide their evidence and statement for record despite numerous invitations.
That is a lie.
Well, he goes on to say, where are we here? Right there.
I'm not going to tell you, let me put it this way. Yeah. I am not going to tell you the path, but I sent lots of stuff directly to somebody who I knew could get it to him in a single email, and it got to him. He is a liar.
Mellon goes on to say, I'm baffled because in an effort to assist his investigation, I introduced Dr. Kirkpatrick to the former director of the ATIP program, Lou Elizondo, as well as Dr. Eric Davis, Dr. Hal Putoff, of these prominent voices associated with the ATIP program, spent hours briefing Kirkpatrick in a classified setting. None have received any feedback. Hopefully, the pending report to Congress on the alleged UAP recovery program will describe the specific claims made by these and dozens of other witnesses and what AARO did to evaluate them.
So let me tell you how well that went. Go look at Eric Davis's statements all over X today about Kirkpatrick. Eric Davis was one of the people that went with Putoff, etc. And Eric had nothing. Eric cannot keep his mouth shut, and he unloaded on Kirkpatrick with as much vehemence as anyone did today, besides me.
Okay, let us continue on here with
Kirkpatrick lied multiple times to Bergen.
There you go. 5 minutes ago here, 2 questions, Bob. This one from Peppa. Bob, do you think Bob Lazar will reappear in the media this year?
I believe he should be brought before Congress and to testify under oath. And he can plead the fifth if he doesn't want to, or just tell the truth as he knows it. And and he might do that, but he might do it quietly, and we never know about it. Look, when he got desperate to make some money, he did some things that got him in trouble that I'm sure that now he regrets. Who of us is so without sin we can afford to cast the first stone? I just think he ought to be brought in and told what he knows, and they can check it out.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Well, let's go over to, where are we here? Zaddy, do you think the Vatican is going to bring us closer on aliens?
I think, well, look, the Vatican is already making noises like it knows ET is here or has been here. And because they're talking about how they can be preached to and given blessings and earn God's grace like any other entity. So I just, that, and they've been doing nonstop psychological and sociological and scientific research on possible extraterrestrial life or whatever it is for a long time. And they were directly involved in the U.S. getting a UFO in 1933. That was landed in Italy in 1933, but they got it at the end of World War II. The Vatican told the U.S. government about it. Remember, we defeated Italy before the end of World War II, and we occupied it until the end of the war. So we had full access, and the Vatican told us where, and they know. I bet there's more UFO knowledge in the catacombs under the Vatican, in the Vatican Library, than anybody could imagine.
All right, I'm just scrolling to see if we have any more audience questions.
May I add one more thing?
Yes, please do, Bob.
Please go read Diana Pasulka's latest book. She goes over several, or view her appearance at Inquiry into Anomalous Phenomena. She goes over several examples of well-known stories that are told by the Catholic Church that are deeply different, made much more polished than are actually reported by the eyewitnesses themselves. There's lots of them in her book and lots of them in her talk at the Inquiry into Anomalous Phenomena, which will be on YouTube soon enough.
Love it. Thank you for that update, Bob. 2 minutes to go in closing here. Take your time with this. What do you want the public to know regarding UFOs, UAP, whatever it may be?
Okay, so I think there's a reason the Navy's been very involved. I went out twice in my career for an extended period of time, and things happened that I was witness to both times. Tim Gaudet gave a talk at Inquiry into Anomalous Phenomenon. Anybody that gets to see that talk on YouTube when it comes out can hear Tim and I interact on the things that I saw and the things he knew about. And both of us agreed with each other that nearly 100% of naval vessels that go on to blue water or under the surface see and or hear things. Every one of them almost. And Gaudet's now come out and he's talking UFO serious stuff now. He is a serious player. He was the head of NOAA. He was the head of the weather. He was out on carriers and other naval vessels. His people worked on every ship in the Navy. And because weather's a big deal to the Navy. And he believes that everyone that goes on blue water sees a phenomenon. That's what I want you to know.
And do you feel that the next 6 months we'll see what?
Oh, I think we're going to have multiple disclosure events in the next 6 months. First of all, everybody wants somebody to come out and talk. I believe that somebody is going to come out and talk. And if the people I know should be able to come out and talk, actually come out and talk, people are going to be shocked beyond compare at who the best known of them will be.
And on that note, Science Bob, I want to say thank you for stepping in on short notice tonight for a great show. You gave a great rundown of what your thoughts were on Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and his wise words that he is shooting around the UFO world since leaving as the head of AARO. Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing, then right after that. We got Courtney and the UFO Report. Stay tuned. Good job, Science Bob. Thank you.
I think we did good.
I think so.
All right. I
Audience
love
happy?
doing the audience questions.
Me too.
All
All right,
right,
Bob.
good night.
Good night. Dirty Filth, it's all yours, buddy.
What do you mean it's all mine?
'Cause I'm stepping away.
He's running away. What
Be right back.
the hell did you shave, Dave?
Yeah? What do you need, Dirty?
I just noticed that he's.
What do you need, Dirty?
Oh yeah, look at that. I'm looking at my other feed there. Apparently, Dave shaved his chops. I can't normally see with all this mechanisms in the way, but 1 second here. Cat. Bloody hells. Yes. So anyways, decided to draw a cartoon at the space bar with 32 squared talking about the fact that apparently they're harassing all the UFO nerds in the world. Imagine that. There's like 20 people in the entire world that care about UFOs, and people got to be a dick to other people that care about UFOs. Yeah, so whatever. Good for them. In other news, if you go to Reno in the near future, there's a high probability that you may get a piece of original artwork. Not sure yet. I'm trying to get a bullet train down to Reno, but they don't have it. It's a steam train they're going to have to take. I'm terrified of flights. But yes, Arbitroff. I always say your name wrong, but yes, that's the video game. Why wouldn't that be at the space bar? You got aliens and Sasquatches and Zenith TVs that figure they're like the first rocket ship into space and everything. Why not have a Polybus arcade machine at the space bar? Yeah, you got to have the spider as well. It's very important to have the spider. It shows that it's dingy enough, but they're still open. Sorry, I'm not speaking into the microphone. But you're not allowed to use the loot spider to put it in like 7 times and get free quarters until they put the kibosh and that kind of stuff. However, at the same time, back in the day, some of the old pop machines used to be able to stick your arm under the sucker. And if you could reach over and push your thumb up, you'd hit the thing and it would turn enough and it would fall right down. Yeah. They don't have that kind of stuff anymore. There's no more analog things. Yeah, spiders are awesome. If all my RPG nerds weren't a bunch of wimps, none of them listen to this, but if they weren't a bunch of wimps, I'd totally run a Dark Elf campaign where it was all about spiders and Spider God Lolth and all that stuff. But no, they're all a bunch of wimps. They don't like spiders, so too bad for them. Oh boy. In a past life, Amy W.C., you and I probably got busted stealing ginger ale pop cans out of the machines in junior high school. Probably had to do like 3 laps around the entire perimeter of the school or something like that. Anyways, I'm rambling. I apologize.
right. There's the lovely Courtney showing on up. Anomalous Debates. Welcome. Oh, that's Courtney. Look at that. She's here under a pseudonym. Courtney, what do you think of the shave? Mm-hmm.
She's me. Oh, no.
I know. She's got to wait. She's got to wait. Dirty, what does this say? I'm going to read that.
Oh.
They've been ramping up the harassment of UFO researchers. Very nice. I like how you put the coat hooks on the bar, too.
You have to have a coat hook on the bar. Where do you
I
put
know.
your hat?
Of course
Like
it
a
is.
gentleman.
Of course it is.
Okay, good night, Dave. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Dirty Filth. We love you, man. All right. There you got a good look at old Davy here. Look, hideous looking. Hideous. All right. Let's say thank you tonight to Dutch UFO, Major Lee, Jeremy, CS, T-Bone ×2, Peter, Jennifer, Louie ×2, Pix, T-Bone ×2, W. Decker, Science Bob, la 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 la, Bright, and Dutch Hank again. Thank you. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Cicadic. Cicadic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and Another Creepy Story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. "17-year-old Aaron Holmes Silverman enjoyed playing guitar and fishing. Sadly, he did not get along well with his parents, who were separated and struggling financially. However, according to his best friend, Sean Gwynn, while he argued with him, they did not have severe relationship problems. Aaron was not interested in high school and would sometimes use illicit substances. In 1993, Aaron's parents became increasingly worried about their son's behavior. They claimed that he often partied excessively and would go missing for days without a word. Despite their efforts to regulate his behavior, Aaron believed that he knew what was best and continued to be disobedient like many teenagers. On June 5, 1993, Aaron and his brother Drew attended a house party in Norfolk, Virginia. According to Drew, everyone at the party was under the influence. Drew said that Aaron spent most of the night with a go-go dancer who was fascinated by Aaron's charisma. The go-go dancer, whose name has not been disclosed, left the party with Aaron that evening. She was believed to be one of the last to have seen him. Aaron's parents were used to his partying and rebellious behavior, so they were not immediately worried when he failed to return home after the party. Everyone assumed that he had stayed the night with a girl or stayed at a friend's place. His family believed Aaron would show up a few days later, as he had done before, but something was different this time. According to the Virginian Pilot newspaper, Aaron, quote, didn't take anything with him. No jeans, no underwear, no toothbrush, not his beloved guitar, nor his favorite fishing rod. He didn't tell anyone he was leaving. Not his best friend, Sean Gwynn, nor his brother, Drew, with whom he had partied, nor his sister, Naomi, who had spent many afternoons fishing with Aaron, end quote. Aaron's brother, Drew, said he saw Aaron leave the party with a dancer. He told the girl we had a boat and that he could take her out, Drew said. When an entire week had passed without any sign of Aaron, Ron Silverman looked at his son, Drew, and said, something's wrong. After a couple of weeks, Ron reported Aaron missing to the Norfolk police. Since there was no evidence of foul play, the police initially thought that Aaron had run away with a go-go dancer, as he had a history of being away from home for extended periods. However, the police's lack of interest in the case prompted Aaron's parents to begin their own search for their son. Aaron's parents were separated at the time of his disappearance, and it appears that Aaron had been going through personal hardships. Aaron's mother, Debbie, told the Virginian Pilot, quote, I figured he'd show up. Then, as time went on, I thought maybe he'd ran off with a group of friends to do something wild, like follow the Grateful Dead around. That's the kind of thing Aaron would do, end quote. Aaron's father, Ron, started frequenting different bars in the Newport area in hopes of finding out what happened to his son. He learned about a woman who was a dancer and whose boyfriend resembled Aaron. She lived in a trailer park and drove a red Pontiac Trans Am. However, it's uncertain whether she had any connection with Aaron, as her identity was never established. Unfortunately, his father was unable to track this woman down. Ron contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who created and distributed a missing person poster of Aaron across the country and sent a stack to the Silvermans. The Silverman family members put up posters in various locations where they believed Aaron could be found. These locations included fishing spots in Willoughby, convenience stores in Ocean View, and festivals that Aaron had previously attended with his friends. Furthermore, Debbie sent flyers to truck stops in San Diego after consulting with a psychic who told her that Aaron might be living in Southern California. Debbie told the Virginian Pilot, quote, you worry. You go through periods thinking he couldn't be alive. It's a little something that's always there, but you go on. You can't walk around in despair, end quote. Since 1993, there have been few updates in Aaron's case, and he remains missing. Aaron Holmes Silverman is described as a Caucasian male with blonde hair and blue eyes, 5 foot 10 inches tall and 130 pounds. He has brown moles on his body and was last seen wearing a white shirt, faded jeans, black Converse tennis shoes, and a coral necklace. Anyone with any information regarding Aaron's disappearance or whereabouts is asked to contact the Norfolk, Virginia Police Department at 757-664-3277 and reference case number 236641.
Thank you, Steve Stockton, for another great story on Spaced Out Radio from Among the Missing. If you want more just like that, go over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. You can hear many more for free. From the missing to the mysterious, we got Courtney Marcassani. Here comes the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
You know, I have to laugh. I know our radio audience can't see it, but our YouTube audience can. Every time we have you on, you have like a new background. You're in a different room. I mean, how many rooms does your house have? Because I think we've seen about 27 different rooms now.
Well, I'm trying to find the best light. So I'm trying to work through the lighting situation because I have some soft light. And of course, it's dark here all the time in Alaska. So I'm trying to cast the best light. I think this room is probably the best. This is my living room. How do I sound?
You sound beautiful. Thank
Good.
you for coming on in. And, you know, I mean, this is your first time seeing me unshaven or
You look
shaven.
great. I love it.
I'm not sure I do. I think I went too far. I
Are
think I
you
went.
cold? Because it's cold here. It's like, 5 below. So without that beard hair, you feeling a little chilly?
No, no, I'm good. I have to do my
Exposed?
I have to do my sleep test tonight.
Oh, that's right. You're doing the whole sleep study. How is that
Yes.
going?
Well, I've opened up the window to the studio here because I don't even know when I pass out. Like that's how bad it is for me right now. So
Wow. Did they
I
ask
know
you
that,
if you were a truck driver, if you have a CDL license? Did they ask you that on the
no,
screening form?
no, I didn't have to do that, but um, they were asking a bunch of questions about, you know, like if I'm driving in a passenger seat, do I fall asleep easy? If I'm watching, say, television, how long does it take for me to pass out? How many naps do I have? And like, I'm gone in like 15 minutes. But then again, I blame my couch because I have one of those like couch chairs, lounging chairs that just
Mhm.
kind of sucks you on in and then you just get cozy.
Well,
So,
I know you don't want to hear this, but thinking about lifestyle management and health, how late do you stay up at night after the show and everything? I mean, doesn't that
oh,
take you a while to decompress and get into a
I
nice calm state, or are you still all jacked up?
no, I'm in bed about an hour after showtime.
That's too
That's the
fast.
beauty of having a studio in my house.
Yeah.
Is I will go outside, I'll stare at the stars for a little bit. I mean, this like, and so I mean, I have work to do after the show for about 20 minutes, and then I go stare up at the stars, or we'll try and find something healthy to eat, or sometimes I'll just grab a glass of water and watch some YouTube for a little bit before heading off to bed. So
Good.
I make
Good.
sure I make sure I wind down.
Good.
Yes.
Maybe
Do
tonight will be the exception to the rule.
yeah.
We have a lot to talk about. I read through everything that you sent me, so I'm all ready to go.
Do we want to start funny or serious?
Well, I mean, after Steve Stockton's, I think we should probably go with serious. That was a really sad story. So let's just go
I
serious, and then maybe we
know.
can end
All
on a
right.
lighter note.
All right. Well, let's start off tonight with Arizona because there was an article in the Phoenix News Times about Arizona UFO buffs are currently calling this the golden age of government research on UFOs, and that it's time to stop debating whether these things are real or not. They're absolutely real. The question now is, what are we going to do about it? And this comes from Phoenix resident and MUFON member Shane Hurd, who has the beard of all beards. I'm so jealous of his beard. And
Oh,
he's
you know
saying,
him.
yes, Shane's a good guy. He's one of
Okay.
the great guys. He's a former guest here on the show. He says the taboo is lifting and the government is taking it seriously. And he says, in the article, I think we are even a little bit in a bit of a golden age where we really stand a real possibility of getting some very meaningful information from the government and from scientists. Heard and other researchers are encouraged by the federal government's recent interest in explaining unidentified anomalous phenomena. The new name for UFOs, we'll just call it UFOs around here. And, they go on to say that in the state over the years, last 50 years, there have been almost 4,500 sightings of UFOs, including the ever famous Phoenix Lights back on March 13th, 1997. The reason why I wanted to bring up this article with you because it's local. It's not what we're seeing on a national level or seeing on News Nation or anything. It's a real article that I think a lot more states should do if they had the journalists who would actually write the article. And I think it's a nice positive article about where we need to go in helping get this story out. And a story like that, Courtney, really helps tell the story for people who may not even know what's going on.
I thought it was really well written. I like the perspective. I like the approach of saying we're at the golden age, possibly. And I liked the way that was framed. I think that the shocking thing for me was the amount of sightings. I mean, 5,000. That's incredible. And so that's one of the things that really stood out to me. That was one of my takeaways. And then I also liked the way they contrasted Arizona against the national numbers and how that was positioned. So I thought it was a really good article. I didn't know the writer, you do. So, you have that connection of that person's work, but I thought it was really well done. And Arizona stands out to me. Obviously people have, like, Melinda has her UFO tours down there in Arizona, so she's probably got a corner on the on the market. But I think, it's going to be more and more of these kind of local articles that bring people's awareness, because they're getting a whole stream of news on their local media. So the Arizona people probably see this in their stream. I never would have gotten it had you not sent it to me.
Yeah. I just found it on Twitter today, and I read it and I was like, good. This is a good one. It's a positive story. I would love to see a story like that out of Alaska, because I could just imagine what is being seen out there. I could
Yeah.
just imagine, like, we get some pretty long nights here where we are, even in, maybe not so much in the summer, but in the winter time. And I mean, if you can handle the cold and sit out there are some things ripping around the sky, that by the normal eye, it looks like just like a dot in the sky. But if you had a good set of binoculars or night vision where you could zoom in on it, I'm pretty sure that there's more than one light on there that's going on by.
Well, Alaska, I know when I looked at Cheryl Costa's work in the Pink Book, where she went and did analysis and statistics on all the different states, I know Alaska was pretty high. I'm not sure what the top 5 states are, but I know we are up there. There is a lot of interest right now in Alaska about the mysterious stuff, like the Triangle and Mount Hayes and these various things and stories and tales, about these creatures that are up here. So there's a lot of different types of anomalous phenomena in Alaska that people talk about. But in terms of the sightings, we had one of the most famous sightings, the Japan airliner, right, that came in.
Yes.
And there was a lot of documentation, by the tower. And, they actually had data from that the Japanese, commercial flight saw and tracked, and they talked about it. And so we have one of the famous cases up here, like Arizona does with the Phoenix lights, but not many people maybe know about the Alaska sighting.
No, I absolutely love that. And I wish there was more news out on that, because I think that is one of the most underrated reports of ufology in the last 40 years. And that was, for people who don't know, give a quick synopsis of what happened there.
Well, I can't remember what year it was, but there was a commercial.
86,
What was it?
1986, I believe.
So yeah, okay. So it was in the 80s, and there was Japan Airlines was coming in to Anchorage, and the pilot saw I think it was a green light in the sky, and he called into the tower and said, "Hey, we have this object. Is there anything else in the sky?" And so they did some radar stuff, and they detected an anomalous object, and both pilots saw it and documented it. And so that's been detailed. There's information about that. I think MUFON was also called in about it. So for Alaska, that's one of our most famous cases.
Hmm. And that craft was allegedly so big that they ended up calling down the Japan Airlines flight into Elmendorf Air Force Base,
Yes.
where
Yes,
they
we did.
actually interviewed the pilots. And then the pilots, when they were free to go, flew back to Japan in their cargo flight 747.
Right.
They were actually fired within days. That entire crew was fired within days of giving that report and talking publicly about it, because the airline felt that they were embarrassing the airline with this report.
Well, I think that's why there's this new legislation coming up for commercial pilots and reporting that I think everybody should support. They just got it put up and introduced to Congress. And so pay attention to that, because that's one of the big things that we really need, is for the commercial industry to lift the stigma so pilots can start reporting. That will be a whole nother reporting base that we haven't had which is ridiculous that we don't have that for the stigma, or that pilots back in the day got fired because they were actually reporting what they saw. And it also reminds me of the other case that was out of Ireland. It was just a couple years ago that there was a commercial flight that saw something in the sky and they reported it. And same thing, the people on the ground at the tower kind of laughed at them. And, there was the fear factor and the stigma associated it with it. But when they followed up with it, there was other airliners that saw the same anomalous object in the sky that were right next to it. So it's things like that that are just fascinating socially, our culture. It just isn't accepted. But I like this article, once again, that you're talking about the writer who's talking about it in Arizona. He's like, this is out. We know that we have them. We know they're not ours. It's time to start going into the golden age. Wouldn't that be nice? I love his idealism. It's pretty cool. I just hope he's right. Because the way Sean Patrick is positioning himself, it's like we're going back into Blue Book all over again.
Well, let's go to Chris Mellon about this, because Bob and I ended up having a schedule change. It brought Science Bob in to talk about this. I read this.
How did that go?
Well, it went very nice, and but he's very much like you, me, and many others in the UFO world, very disgusted with the actions of Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick over the last couple of weeks, especially. And one of the things we were talking about is a tweet that Chris Mellon let out today, and it says, I was astonished by one of the central claims made by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick in his recent article in Scientific American, blasting UAP conspiracists, specifically his claim that as of the time of my departure, none, let me repeat, none of the conspiracy-minded whistleblowers in the public eye had elected to come to AARO to provide their evidence and statement for the record, despite numerous invitations. I'm baffled, Mellon says, because in an effort to assist his investigation, I introduced Dr. Kirkpatrick to the former director of the ATIP program, Lou Elizondo, as well as Dr. Eric Davis and Dr. Hal Putoff. Each of these prominent voices associated with the ATIP program spent hours briefing him in a classified setting. None have received any feedback. Hopefully, the pending report to Congress on the alleged UAP recovery program will describe the specific claims made by these dozens of other witnesses and what AARO did to evaluate them. What's your thoughts on Mellon firing back?
Yes, Christopher Mellon, and thank you for being my friend. He just accepted my request on LinkedIn, so I'm like, yes, unite. I was so happy to see it. One, he clearly places Lou Elizondo in as director of ATIP, and that was refuted for the longest time, right? People always were doubting it and saying, he wasn't the director, this and that. So Mellon comes on the record and says, boom, he was the director of ATIP, right? So he knows. Then he comes on, second point, and says that he referred, boom, 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 Davis, Putoff, Elizondo, right? The whole lot of them to AARO. And he's still denying. So I really think that people need to start questioning what he's saying, how he's saying it. I was on Twitter all day today, fired up, responding, showing other evidence. Look, even in the Schumer Rounds Amendment, there's whistleblower protections for unidentified aerial phenomenon. It's written in there. I put it on Twitter like, hey, look, these people aren't conspiracy theorists. There's actually a law that has been set up so they can report safely, including classified information. Now, why would Sean Kirkpatrick come out and say those people are conspiracists when there's been a law actually passed so they can have disclosure safely? I mean, it's bullpucky.
It's almost like when he left his office at AARO that he wanted to pull the pin on a grenade and blow the whole thing up.
Who said that?
No, I'm making a statement that it almost seems like that's what he wanted to do.
Mellon?
No, Kirkpatrick, when he left AARO.
Oh, yeah. He's just, there's some really serious rumors going on about him, but people can't really say. I've gotten 3 notes today from people who are like, look, it's a lot worse than people are saying, but I can't say what's really going on. And I'm like, come on, give us the goods. Share what the deal is. Why is he acting this way? Why is he just sabotaging the whole program and everything that was set up and all the good work that the UAP task force did, for goodness sakes. I mean, I think that if he's trying to say that they're disgruntled, and trying to say that they are have an axe to grind, he should say that.
Well, let's continue with this conversation and more when we return, including a new group setting up a sightings report and more snafus from our favorite Enigma Labs on the UFO report next. Courtney, here's my beard.
Oh, wow. It's so Santa. You're so Santa right now.
I can send it to you if you want.
No, that should go to like one of those nonprofits.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
So was Science Bob as incensed as most of us are? I didn't get to see his segment.
Oh, yeah. He was very incensed by it. Feels very let down, because he knows people who have sent things to Kirkpatrick that were just ignored. And there seems to be a pattern about information just getting ignored.
Definitely. And there's also, I think, some intimidation, maybe some retaliation. And so he needs to be real careful with how he slams the whistleblowers, because he's kind of feeding into some of these patterns of intimidation that we've seen against David Grush and others. And so he better watch his step, or he's going to start getting accused of that, of bashing our own whistleblowers who came to Congress and testified. Why would he say somebody who went to Congress and testified is actually like perjuring themselves? I don't get it. He's trying to sabotage all the efforts of the people who have been trying to get evidence into court.
Right. I mean, I'm sorry. There was just a real ignorant comment put in the chat room.
Uh-oh.
Just going to remove that. Chris Mack, we don't play that here. Like, this isn't other channels where, where people think that type of shit is funny. Okay. And I don't appreciate you insulting my friend that way. All right. So have a good time being here. Hang out all you want. Join the club. There's a lot of good people here. But piss off with the idiot comments like that, the 12-year-old comments. We don't need that here. All right. And remember, my room isn't a freedom of speech. It's a Daveocracy where Dave makes the rules.
It's not the SOR way, man. That's what I've heard Dave say before. It's not the SOR way.
Well, it doesn't matter if Science Bob's dating a girl that's 30 years younger than him. Who cares? He's happy. Who cares? Anyways.
Anywho.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I heard some serious rumors today. Some I can share, some I can't. One of them that Sean Kilpatrick has a pattern of this kind of behavior. I made a comment about it.
Yeah. One thing that I did want to bring up with you is I actually had a phone call from one of my sources who was saying to me that it's time for many people, especially broadcasters, to be careful with the information that they are putting out, because there is apparently behind the scenes a lot of pending lawsuits that may be happening and arrests that may be happening over false information that's being spread.
You have to be careful. And that's why I said the other night, this was my opinion when I was talking about Oak Ridge and Kirkpatrick going to Oak Ridge and all of that, because, you have to be careful about lawsuits. And passing around information and where it comes from. So, most of what we talk about is our opinion, right? It's just the way
Absolutely.
we feel about things, and we still have freedom of speech at this point. But I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of these researchers are calling themselves journalists now, so that they've either lawyered up or they've gotten advice from lawyers who have given them advice and counsel. So they're they're journalists now to protect themselves. So I hope people don't get sued, but that would be one way to come after people and shut people down. It's expensive. But if you got deep pockets and you're in the deep state, then why not, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say a big thank you to Louie, W. Decker, Bob, T-Bone, Pix, Lava, Laura, Louie, again, Jennifer, Peter, T-Bone again, C.S., Jeremy, Lee, and Dutch ×2 for the super chats. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. Nothing's ugly there. You can actually wear your clothing out in public and not to paint walls with, or to clean the lawnmower with, or to garden, or to dig up trees, or whatever you may do. So go shopping at our store today. Here we go, everybody. Next half hour. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight, the UFO Report. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go again with Courtney Marcassani and the UFO Report. And Courtney, thank you for being here once again.
I'm happy to be here. We were just talking about Sean Kirkpatrick, and I just wanted to mention to you and to the audience that Enigma Labs responded. I don't know. Did you see that? Are we going to go into that next to the harsh commentary about privacy laws? Okay, go ahead. I'll let you take it away. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Because
go ahead.
The Enigma Lab thing pisses me off. It really does. So they put out another tweet, okay, which nobody is allowed to respond to because they were getting such criticism of, their report. So Enigma Labs on Twitter comes out with their spicy jargon that makes them try and look really good. And whoever writes this stuff really should be, working for some communist party, like, because propaganda is beautiful. Okay.
You start to sound like my brother-in-law. He's always after about the communists. He's always in on the communists. It's like his big thing is about the communists. But
well, I mean,
lessons to be learned about McCarthyism.
They once said, let's preface here for a second. Enigma Labs once said that they had over 300,000 reports. Then it went down to 100,000, then 50,000, and now it's down to 12,000. Okay? So their tweet today comes out, says, being a successful and thriving platform in an arena as spicy as UAP sightings inevitably puts a target on our back. Questions about our funding and data policies are always available on our frequently asked questions page. To reiterate, our mission is to serve the public with a safe space to share sighting experiences, drive better aerial awareness, and make scientific progress on UAP. We are an independent startup, 100% VC funded. Don't know what that means.
Venture capital. VC is venture capital. Yep.
Yes, by a billionaire Peter Thiel, they leave out. We have not passed data to any government agency, although they're trying for government contracts. Okay. And as a reminder, all sightings data is already openly published for everyone and everyone to access and read on our free app. Documenting what's anomalous in the skies across the globe at the times is a mammoth task, and we cannot do it alone. Collaboration is the only way to drive progress. Well, guess who they're collaborating with?
I'm Tim
I'm
Ventura.
sorry. Guess who they're collaborating with? Who?
Military.
Yeah.
But they have no government contracts. Okay.
Well, and you have to look at Palantir, right? Because Palantir is
Yes.
connected to Thiel and make the connection. I just wanted to say the reason why that little soundbite went off is because I wanted to double fact what I'm just about to say. This whole thing about Enigma Labs and why they responded and came out with this long response was actually a response to, it was like a call and response from Lester Nair. And Lester Nair is part of the UAP Congressional Caucus. Now, if you remember, the UAP Congressional Caucus was set up after the hearing. It was kind of hush-hush for a few months because they were trying to build support for it. And then finally, they got that established and got approval for it. So here's what Lester Nair writes. Okay, this is what he wrote, and he must be listening to us. I just want to give us kudos, right? Because he writes this whole thing. I don't know any of the team personally, but I do know he's talking about Enigma Labs. But I do know that what it's like to build and run a venture-backed business. When you take a venture investment, there is an expectation that return on investment is going to be 10 to 100 times, blah, blah, blah. The goal for VCs is to identify and invest in those rare companies that have the potential for exponential growth. So let's skip down to the questions that he really poses to Enigma. Okay. There's a little bit of fluff in there, not essential. So here's what he writes is about funding going forward and how Enigma is going to fund themselves. So the question remains, who is paying who is the paying customer? It's not the users of the app submitting the sightings. How are they going to reach 200 million plus valuation, and who would buy them? And for what purpose would they use once acquired? Right? This is the questions he's posing to Enigma. The obvious concern I have, he says, knowing what it's like to have the pressure to reach venture returns, is that I don't see a path for them to monetize at the scale needed to appease their investors without data selling agreements to otherwise monetizing in a way that's antithetical to their proposed mission and vision. So he calls them out. He's doing it in like an ethical way, but they felt they needed to respond. And so they had their spin doctors respond. And you and I both know that Peter Thiel has Palantir.
Absolutely. So let's go through. Okay, let's rip this apart. Let's tear the Band-Aid off. You know, maybe the clippers that I used to shave my beard off today. Okay. Let's look at Enigma Labs for a second. Okay. They don't announce who their employees are. They don't announce who they are working with. Only a few people have come out and said that they have either donated their files or are unpaid advisors. The two unpaid advisors that I know are former fighter pilot Alex Dietrich and scientist for the U.S. Army, Rich Hoffman. Okay, those are two. Now, here's the silly part about this. When Enigma Labs went on Twitter, myself and a couple others started asking questions after reading their website, which was extremely vague, and how they wanted all this personal information from you, but they did not want to give up who would be taking the reports. So within a week of this happening, where many of us were tweeting on Enigma Labs trying to figure out what was going on, they shut down their responses. So their Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to call it, if you look at it, you cannot respond to their tweets. Okay, they've shut that part down. Number two, we know a lady named Alice Smith is the one who hit up this venture capital with Peter Thiel. Alice, for some reason, loves being called Alex, was even walking around the Soul Foundation recently in their meeting. And Courtney, you were there. Others saw it, where everybody had to wear a name tag showing their first and last name. What does Alice do? She blanks out her last name so nobody can recognize her, because She doesn't want anybody knowing that she's the head of Enigma Labs. Number 3, in their first ever tweet they put out the fact that they are not a government contractor, but are willing to collaborate with government agencies, including all recognitions of the military, in order to share reports. Which means if you set your information on their app, on their website, wherever it may be, it is going to be shared with whoever they collaborate with. Number 4, they tried to buy journalists, and journalists, real journalists, not fake journalists who self-title themselves, real journalists at up to 6 figures. 6 figures. They were trying to buy journalists for Enigma Labs. They were offering 6 figures plus for people to donate their files to Enigma Labs. One that we do know is television star Ben Hansen, who has taken a lot of criticism about his role in giving them the information. We've caught Enigma Labs lying. At first, they said they had over 300,000 reports. Then that number went down to 100,000, then 50,000, and most recently, it was at 12,000 reports that they have had. The inconsistencies with Enigma Labs is unconscionable. It is a head scratcher that doesn't make sense. And behind the scenes, they are not getting a lot of respect from the UFO community because everybody wants to know, if you want our stuff, who are you? Tell us who you are. And don't forget, people, that before they were even established, before they even put out a single tweet, how does a group like this become one of the groups that's invited to a private NASA UFO conference? How did they get there if they are nothing to be worried about? Courtney.
Money talks, power, money, power. They come together, right? The Hill and Capitol Hill pulling strings. Okay. So it's like, they probably live in an ivory tower. They're not down on the boots on the ground with most of us living in the real world. And so doors open to them, invitations open to them, the whole world is open to them. And so this is a product of connections and power. And so you have to look at how that all shapes up. And it doesn't make any sense to us because we're asking the question, how can they possibly not name their CEO and be asking for venture capital money? How could they possibly have their CEO coming out and going to conferences and things and not be shaking hands with other people saying, hey, I'm Enigma CEO? So clearly they're afraid. Obviously, a public perception.
Let's not forget, this is a company that also talks out of both sides of their mouth at the same time. They're begging for people to, just like you listening, they are begging for people to send them their UFO reports or their alien reports or whatever. But on the other side of their mouth, they are publicly, whether it's through Twitter or other cases, are making fun of people who claim to have UFO or alien experiences.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that they're teasing out. They're saying in the New Yorker article that we covered on Monday night, they're basically saying we don't want to be part of the crowd that's looking for Martians or little green aliens. We don't want to be part of the crazies. Now you're going to call the crazies on you. And so they're insulting in the one hand, but yet they're saying we want the tech and the data on the other. And so they just as much said in that article straight out, we are a Silicon Valley based firm. And I called that out last year. You and I were talking about it. And I said, Peter Thiel wants the tech for Silicon Valley. That's what he wants. And so this whole Enigma platform is part of that, and to position themselves. And so if it's not through the app or through the reporters that were paid off or these various people that he's approached in the community to use to find inroads into getting it, it's going to be some other way. So I think that it's just a major power move. And I think it shows the people that are aligned with it are obviously, you've mentioned some already. They were willing to, they were willing to work with him. And so it's a handshaking deal, I'm sure, at first, but now it's coming into positions and money and, real stakes. So they have to know that people are going to be critical of them and be critical of the mystery. But once again, you have people who are in Huntsville, Alabama. Everything goes back to Huntsville. So watch it, then look at the connections, look where they lead. Everything goes back to Huntsville. Come on.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, for these people, there's two types of people who are this way, who talk out of both sides of their mouths. One of them are narcissists.
Yeah.
And it's very narcissistic thinking that you can insult people, yet still get what you want from them at the same time. The other one is bullying.
It's the gaslighting thing. And experiencers are very used to the gaslighting thing. And so that's why it's good that we're shining a spotlight on it. Because look, real experiencers who have had these episodes once, twice, or maybe throughout their life, they really do have ramifications for this. They lose their job, they lose relationships, they lose credibility. I mean, that's why people do have to be confidential in a lot of ways, because they can't share their experiences without intimidation or retribution, or what Sean Kirkpatrick is essentially doing to our own whistleblowers who testified. So it's it's coming from the top down.
No, I fully agree with what you're saying. Fully agree with what you're saying. It is coming from the top down. And I mean, there's just so many misconceptions about this Enigma Labs group. And please, if you're listening to this, heed the warning. There are many professional groups out there, whether it's MUFON or New Fork or many others, if you research it online, that want to have your best interest at heart when it comes to your experience, your sighting, your story. Don't get yourself involved.
I did learn an interesting thing, Dave, and I don't know if you picked this up in the article or not, but according to the, selling out with the privacy agreements and everything between them making their, 20 million valuation, they were saying that they weren't going to be selling their privacy agreements or privacy rights, and that people that made reports could be anonymous if they chose to be or not. And so they tried to clarify that in their follow-up article, which I thought was interesting. They could have people report anonymously, but just another word of caution, are you going to trust that? Are you going to trust that your data is not being sold? I mean, we've seen these things in other corporations where your data gets sold and you don't know. So if it's already a question going in, you're pretty much sure it's going to happen down the line, especially since they need to make money.
It's been 17 years since MUFON sold out to Robert Bigelow in that catastrophe of a deal, and people still haven't forgiven MUFON for that.
Well, was it actually a deal? Here's the thing I always wonder about. He approached them to buy the records of the reports and the people who had the sightings. But did money ever get exchanged in that?
There was an agreement of between $600,000 and $700,000.
And so they did exchange the data. That did go to Bass. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Because I remember reading about it, that they approached him, that Bigelow approached them, that there was supposed to be a deal, and maybe some records got transferred, but I wasn't sure if it actually all, it was an actual transaction or not. That's good to know and clarify.
Yeah. But I just, it just bugs me to no end when I see this group trying to take advantage of good people. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, yes, we talk about the LARPing and the grifting and the anger and the vitriol that people have. And it's a spiteful community, the UFO world. But you know what? Deep down, when you skim that crap off the top, okay, there are very good people in this field, number one. Number two, the majority of people who have had a sighting, they just want to know what they saw. And if they're going to get the runaround by groups like Enigma Labs, it hurts what we are trying to accomplish, especially if those sightings turn into encounters. Okay, like they have for you, Courtney, like they have for me. And when those encounters happen, we start to worry. We start to worry about, why me? Why is this happening to me? Okay. And I look at it like, after the research that I've done, how would I feel about trusting Enigma Labs, who has every connotation of working with the U.S. military? Why would I trust them with my information? Even though they say they're going to keep it private, how do I know? Because we've caught them so many times in their infancy here of speaking out of their both sides of their mouth.
And look at what Palantir does. Look at that technology. Look at the way it's being used in military applications and how they're using it, and know that at some level, I mean, just do your research. And going back to what you said about the people in this community being good, I think we have some of the best. I think we have some of the best researchers, some of the best, most compassionate people doing work and advocacy for experiencers and for disclosure. And so I know that there's a lot of backbiting that goes on, but I also think we have some of the best people in the field doing work, and you can see who they are. They stand out, they shine like stars. And so it's all about uniting with those individuals and moving the ball forward. And I think this whole community has, and you can't deny it. Look at it. We're here today because of all the people who put their time in and put in their service-oriented hearts into making this happen. So I think that we just need to keep our eye on the ball, keep moving it forward.
Yeah. And once again, I want our listeners to be able to support people who are doing it right, or businesses who are doing it right,
Exactly.
in trying to bring a broader landscape and knowledge to what we're doing publicly. I cannot endorse, as Spaced Out Radio, this Enigma Labs. They're too slimy. They remind me of used car salespeople. They are just way too secretive in order to find anything to trust about them. And the one thing that I've learned over my time in life is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And in this case, I think it hits the nail on the head. I really do, Courtney.
Yeah, well, I was having a very lively discussion about Palantir and the military tech side of things, and how it listens to what you say and then gives you back ads or things right on social media to follow up. And you're talking about things that have serious consequences, like propaganda and censorship, and what information you have that's being put in front of you, and your choices and your buying decisions. And it really does get into manipulation.
Very much so. Courtney Marcassani with the UFO Report. Hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking us out with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter or X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Hot damn, I love that song.
It's a great song.
Tis. You know what I've started saying recently?
Dickinsonian. Tis not.
Instead of saying tomorrow, I now say the morrow.
Oh, the morrow. Yeah, you're definitely doing an old English thing. Do you also like live in a Tudor house on on the end of a row of willows?
No, but I just think that the morrow just sounds so much more badass.
The morrow.
See you tomorrow.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I hope everything goes well with the sleep study.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock that finger thing that they're gonna put on my finger here.
Hope they don't want you to put it anywhere, unsightly.
No, the uncomfortable part about it. Here's the truth. The uncomfortable part about it is, when you have sleep apnea, it makes you wake up and go to the bathroom numerous times a night. So I go to the bathroom anywhere between 1 and 5 times a night.
Wow.
Yeah. And
you also might need to have your prostate checked, Dave.
Nope. That's all working fine.
Okay, have your PS numbers done.
So, anyways, hi, Mr. Catfish. How are you? So, anyways, I have to use this box with the thing on my finger, and I'm just trying to figure out, do I put it on my left hand or right hand? Because in the middle of the night, sometimes I forget what hand that I use to, get ready to go to the bathroom.
Oh, God.
Things we do for love, man.
You're going to have to start putting the thing around your finger, the little string around your finger to remind you what you wiped yourself with.
I know. You know, the weird part about it is, I'm not, Captain, is the SOR logo priority? I don't get it. I don't get that, T-Bone. We need an SOR reporting site. You know what? It's interesting you say that, Noble Patrick. Courtney and I were actually just discussed about getting people to write their stories in, and so that way we could start building up our news section.
And there's some future things that you're working on that might lead to some of that, maybe.
Never know.
You never know. We're crossing our fingers. We're crossing our fingers. There could be some development happening.
Yeah. Moody Mongol, how you doing? Yeah, we're going to have some fun. I have a feeling like 2024 is going to be a really good year, and it doesn't even include me dying, which is awesome.
I know that David Grush's op-ed is coming out, and everybody's waiting for that. So he got cleared for that. So that's going to be a new piece that comes out that talks about some more information. We're going to have maybe a new statute coming in Congress that fills in what the NDAA left out. Hopefully, I'll have a report on that from Washington when I come back from DC to share with the Spaced Out Radio crew. So there's things to look forward to. We might get a new AARO director that might come about, maybe somebody who's more open-minded and less propaganda, or disinformation, whatever you want to call it. So I think 2024 is going to be chock full of action-packed.
And you know what? We should actually say this to our audience because it is true. Okay, there's nothing that we're making up here. Who owns the SOR logo? I do. Yeah, I do. All right, Chris Mack, you pissed me off for the final time tonight. We're going to give you a 10-minute misconduct for being an asshole. Okay? So, there you go. 10-minute misconduct, being an asshole. There's the penalty. I do everything in hockey terms. So, anyways,
Know your sports. Know your sports, people.
yeah.
Were you a captain?
No, I was a goon.
I was a captain. Yeah.
But what I wanted to say to people is this UFO report that Courtney and I are doing, it's actually behind the scenes catching a lot of attention from people. And it's weird. It's kind of weirded Courtney and I out because all of a sudden the phone just on both ends just started ringing, and like people now are trying to reach out, tell us things, and all of this stuff of what is going on. And it's really interesting to see how the behind the scenes UFO community that doesn't speak out in public, Courtney, is really starting to pay attention to the things that we are talking about on this segment, every
yeah.
time we do.
There's people in the East Coast that are listening to us at 2:00 in the morning around, around Washington. So I don't know what they're doing up so late, but they're definitely listening to us. And the people that don't can't catch us are catching us in the morning. So I hear people saying they're catching us in the morning. So I'm glad we're touching on good topics. I did get some feedback that they want us to go deeper and wider into the different corporations involved. And so I posted some stuff on Twitter today about Patel and that we weren't able to get to the other night, and pointed to some things that I mentioned for people who want to go deeper. And I put up some documents too. So what we haven't been able to get on SOR, I've been trying to fill the gaps in on Twitter. So if you guys haven't, seen me, follow me so you can get some of this data and information that I can't put on here because we only have the hour.
Well, the other good part too is when you start writing your stories, the SOR website is going to be a home base for those. And
Yes.
The reason why I'm really excited about you doing that is because it's gonna force me to write too.
Yeah,
I
I
love-
know. I know you're doing like as a self accountability thing, and I'm totally cool with that because if you don't have that accountability for the writing partner, it just falls off. You're already doing a lot with the show, but it'll be good. It'll force
Maybe I won't fall
the
asleep during it.
journalistic thing, to come back out. So I'm happy to do that. It'll be great.
Courtney, do you mind
So-
adding your social media links?
Yeah, I can do that. I just changed my avatar because I just changed my YouTube channel because I'm going to start something new on there. But I'm most active on Twitter with sharing all of this stuff that I can't do on the show. So I'll put that on here for everybody because I just put up CIA documents and I put up some special tips of the hat for people that are following. Here it is.
You don't mess around.
I know people think I'm crazy, but that's good. I dubbed Wikigate, and Wikigate caught on. Now everybody's using Wikigate on Twitter. Did you pick up that pickup?
I saw it.
So I started Wikigate. I'm like the Frank Luntz of Twitter.
Good.
All right, here it is. And I will start posting SOR too on all my stuff too, if you want me to. I didn't know what's copacetic or not. So you just tell me what I can and can't do.
Well, we can make sure almost everything works.
That's my handle, everyone. We'll see you on there. I am very active on there. And I'm looking forward to the extra stuff we're going to do on SOR. Just tell me how to access things and where to go and where to start. I didn't know there was a whole Travelers Club. I was checking out the Travelers Club a couple days ago. That's pretty cool. So I need to learn my way around.
Mostly. Attorney, are you talking about Reno? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. So exciting. Courtney, when you get to know Courtney, you will realize that she is actually a surefire shot into the background of the UFO world. I mean,
surefire shot. Yeah, I'm a surefire shot with my mom's old 22 long handle Western pistol. So it has a lot of character. It has a pearl handle on it, and funky, vintage.
oh yeah.
But yes, sure
I
shot.
could
It shoots straight and it aims to kill.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. Courtney, thank you for another
Bye,
great night.
Dave. Thanks,
And
everybody.
I do have my lucky coin in my safe there, attorney. I do have my lucky coin. And I hope I remember it. I wish I had put it with my passport, because then I would know where my passport was. But we're actually tearing down the house this weekend looking for my passport. So that'll be good, because I need to find it. But thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. And that is Louis W. Decker, Science Bob, T-Bone, Pix, La 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 La, right? Lara, Linda, Jennifer, and Peter, and CS, and Jeremy, and Lee, and Dutch. Love you guys. Tomorrow night, Varley Venture is here. So we'll say hi to her when she gets here. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.